welcome to Mindless Entertainment. It is I, Jesse Milestone, coming to you on this Friday with both good news and bad news.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
Where people were just walking around, just jizzing force all over the place. He looks like he has been drinking soy from his mother's teat. Wrap yourselves in, guys, because we are gonna get mean!
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, but it's not just me here tonight. It is my good friend, my totally good friend, because we've streamed together a million times, Kamran Pasha.
We've streamed together a couple of times. You and I have come in and out of each other's things.
Well, that's what's so exciting about tonight is we've crossed paths a zillion times now. You know, I feel like we've really gotten to know each other from just bopping, oh my God, hi, nice to meet you, learning all the stuff, asking each other questions. I'm always kind of in the background on the High Council too. And this is the first time you're actually on my channel and we're getting to sit down.
And I'm a fan of your channel. As I've said on another broadcast, I found you right after The Last Jedi when I was looking for people to convince me I wasn't crazy, right? And I found you ranting and pulling your hair and screaming and exploding. And I said, I like this chick. I'm going to subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, she's insane. Also, if I don't subscribe to her, she'll probably somehow intuitively know and then come to my house and stab me. So, that's I actually had a friend in high school say to me, Jesse, I realized very quickly that you were either going to be my worst enemy or my best friend. And I did not want the hassle of dealing with you as my enemy. So I figured we better be friends. And I said, Sarah, that's the most logically, she was very logical anyway, but I was like, that's probably the most intelligent thing you've logicked yourself into.
Are you a Scorpio? What's your zodiac?
Oh, I'm a Sagittarius, but on the edge of Scorpio. I'm right on the edge of Scorpio.
Okay, yeah, because that's the leftover from the Scorpio, yeah.
Yep, I have those things. I dated a Scorpio, though, for 5 years. Never again. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm, dating Jeff for the rest of my life. But if there were a world where Jeff died and I had to get on the market, that's
Jeff, where's this conversation going?
She'll be fine. Jeff's gonna live forever.
That list of the post-Jeff death list. Okay, all right.
But no, Scorpios can suck a dick. They're way too. What are you? I should ask you that before.
I'm an Aries sun, but I have a Scorpio moon, which means that I'm drawn to Scorpio women, which means that I have dated Scorpio women to extremely disastrous end results.
So what's up. That's is Anna is. Yeah, Anna's a Scorpio. She is on the edge.
There's a lot of extreme things happen to her. So yes, that makes sense to me.
She is pretty textbook. That's the funny thing is I get along with Scorpio women really, really well. As for how to get along with Scorpio dudes really, really well as friends. But romantically, that's just way too complicated.
Yeah, well, they're loyal friends, but then, but once you try to get intimate, then all the pathologies and crazy comes out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shout out to the chat tonight. Will Gentry's here. What's up from rehab, Will Gentry? He posted for all of us, he made a big old announcement, that he was doing that. And it's been awesome. People are just coming out to support him and help him on that journey. And right now he's, in a way different time zone and it's the wee hours of the morning and he's sleepless. So we're here to keep him company and entertained. And then love for Emily as well, who, by the way, let me go get that box. I forgot to bring it over here. There it is. Okay. Emily sent me something into mail. So I have to open it. I
haven't figured out how to get people to send me stuff. There's probably an Amazon gift thing or something where people can send you stuff.
Yeah. The Amazon wish list. That's a cool one. I had a couple things go up from that. I put cat stuff on it. And some people sent somebody sent one of the cat beds. That was really cool. The shark shaped one, which was the best because it was the one I wanted most. Okay. But this comes from Canada. She says, I wrapped it like a 5-year-old. The box looks, your handwriting's really nice. I'm not going to show it. Well, I mean, I can show this part where it's just, I'm not going to show her address, but that's the P.O. box. So.
All right, that's nice. Your elementary school teacher would like the penmanship. It's good.
Very nice. Very nice. Exactly. Where did you grow up, Kamran?
I grew up in Brooklyn. I was born in Pakistan, and I grew up in a Hasidic neighborhood in Brooklyn. So the one Muslim guy amongst the Hasidic Jews. And it was quite a fascinating experience.
That's crazy. Yeah. How was it at that time too? Was it because I know Hasids can be, it really depends on the neighborhood and how you fit into it. Yeah. Were they welcoming? Did they adopt you or were they oh?
No, well, the interesting is they're very exclusive. They do their own thing, right? And pretty much if you're not in the community, you don't really have any role in their lives. They're neutral to everybody. I think, non-practicing Jews, they have somewhat aggressive attention towards.
That's funny. Honestly,
The rest of us going, they don't give a crap about us, well, one way or the other, right? So
it's definitely true. It's like the Orthodox and Hasids really definitely have a bigger issue. They're like, it's so important to them to convince the rest of the world that us less intense Jews are not real Jews than it is to worry about anyone who isn't a Jew. It's like, that seems kind of counterproductive, but whatever.
they do their thing. So somebody asked in the chat whether it was Crown Heights. Not Crown Heights. It was Borough Park. Borough Park, if anyone knows Brooklyn. So I grew up in Borough Park, and and then I went to college in New Hampshire, which was a very different experience than New York City. And then I was a journalist for a while, and then went back and got a law degree and an MBA and got all these stupid degrees. And I said, I'm going to throw all that away and go to Hollywood. So now I'm here. I've been doing this for 20 years.
That was my bad. I had a little faux
I always have something going on in the background.
That was mine. That was my bad that time. I was like, whoops, what's going on over here? So that's, you sound like you really absorbed way too much from your Jewish surroundings, just like being already successful at one thing and going and acquiring a bazillion degrees.
It's the global immigrant experience, right? And I think our Jewish friends can understand, having historically been immigrants a lot, right? And so it is the survival thing. You got to get lots of degrees, lots of things. You got a cat there? You got a cat hanging out?
Oh, yeah, this is Lando. Here's Lando.
Oh, hello, Lando. It's a good name for a cat.
Yeah, Lando counts, yeah.
Hello there, as Lando would say, yes. So I actually am deeply fascinated by the Hasidim. I actually directed a short film, which is on my YouTube page, which is essentially a supernatural thriller set amongst the Hasidim. It's like be amongst Hasidic Jews.
It's awesome.
Something no one would ever think of doing, and I won like a bunch of awards for it. So yeah.
That's so cool, because there's so many things. The thing is, if you understand the customs and the laws, there's so many ways, and there's a lot of mysticism in Judaism too. It's chock full of mysticism. Sure. So the beautiful thing about studying and really understanding another culture is like you can lean into those tropes, you can lean into those elements to bring something richer and bring something new or different into the story you're telling. Matt Decker, thank you for the super chat first from the evening, I believe. Let me just double check.
Matt's a good guy. I met him at the Grove, the Grove, Barnes and Nobles. The day the Solo premiered, I was wearing a Soilo t-shirt, and he saw that. And Matt is a very dapper guy, and he came up with his friend, and we became friends after that.
Good shit. I met Matt. I'm trying to remember where we met in person first, because he's come to my open mic, or did you sent the lady to the open mic? I'm trying to remember if you were there yourself. It's been so long, but we've done karaoke together a couple of times, which was I'd
love to see you in karaoke. I'd love to see Matt in karaoke. So we're
gonna have to make that happen when the world is less broken.
And hopefully it's getting closer. I was actually really despondent that we're never going to return to normal in LA, and I think it's going to be slower than much of the country, but we're going to get there.
I do. The comforting thing too is like people are across the board on, pretty much they buy into whatever the news is telling them about stuff and are pretty on board with the vaccination. So I feel like once the news says you're all vaccinated, you're all good, they'll just go, okay. And if like enough of the information says you're safe, you can go, they'll just go, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm beginning to notice a change in Hollywood, because the industry people are for the first time in a year talking about, well, maybe we can return to having writers' rooms on TV shows, and they're still hesitant. Well, we can do a hybrid, like, so there's people who are nervous about it, they can still come on in Zoom, but maybe like 2 or 3 of us people that are really risk our lives might be able to get in a room together. I'm like, it's okay, it's like one step at a time. We'll get there. But the first time they're talking about it.
That's cool. I've even noticed in my neighborhood, more and more people, it looks like old people who probably already got the vaccine are walking around without masks for a while. Everyone, even on the streets, even when they're
I've noticed a shift in Santa Monica as well. It's a very mask heavy environment here. Look, you may not agree with that. I will wear a mask in any establishment, the gym, wherever I go to. I'm not going to wear a mask in the park, which I live across from the park. And I actually, the very first day when they put the requirement, when most people weren't actually still following it, I went down the street. I take my mom for walks every day in the park, right? And I took her for her normal walk, and a dude, it was day one, it must have been like May of last year, a dude in Santa Monica followed us for a block shouting racial slurs at us.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I've never happened to me in my life. I've had other experiences, but never that. And you think Santa Monica's a rich liberal place, and he was screaming at us, and he was saying, "You effing foreigners, go back to your country, you're going to kill all of us." And I was like, but there's all these other people in the park that aren't wearing masks. He's like, I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you. He followed us for like several blocks with like a big dog. It was really aggressive. And it was a scary situation. I was like, people are losing their minds.
People using it's like the little any little bit of pressure and it's your ugliest self comes out.
Yeah. Well, those guys just found their excuse. They found their moment to reveal what was inside of them. This was their, as we talk about what happened in Europe, this was the moment just comes out when they get their
exactly. It's like it's we'll probably get into a lot of that later too. Like there's so much of that going on today where it's like people want it's all smoke and mirrors. Oh, it's because of this reason or that reason or this good thing that I'm totally doing for your safety or your protection or your values or your morals. And it's like, no, you're actually just using a lot of button words to make excuses for being a piece of shit.
Yeah, because it's a power play, and you finally got the system is supporting your power play, and you got your moment. But this is the thing. I have karmic power. I have the evil eye. You mess with me, bad things happen to you. So when this guy followed me for like a couple of blocks, my mom was scared. I was like, I'm just gonna get her out of the park before this guy. Who knows what he's gonna do, right? But I said, okay, God, take care of this guy. So 2 months later, I'm back in the park walking. And I hear the same guy shouting at me, "Hey man, where's your mask?" And I turn, and he's in a wheelchair. He broke his legs. It's the same dude. And I was like, "Okay, thank you, God." And I said, "Okay, God, he still hasn't learned his lesson, so take care of it again." And I haven't seen him since.
Hey, you want to throw some karmic influence down on Big Dean's down there? Because
the only thing I've survived in Hollywood is having the evil eye. I may not be able to defeat the system, but I can definitely pull you down with me. So that's all. That's a power. That's a power.
That's always been my thing too. It's like I will break. I will. If you hurt me, you may succeed. You may succeed at what you're doing, but I will end you. You will be over. There will be no more.
It's mutually assured destruction. You do this, we both go down.
We both fucked. Let me change my network.
Matt paid good money for this. So what's his question?
That I'm hearing in the chat. All right. Am I freezing? Am I good? Let me see.
Yeah, you're freezing. But let me read this. Cameron, tell them about how Hollywood is in the 80s versus the 90s versus today when it comes to culture dynamics and how you're doing. That's a long conversation. I mean, maybe Matt, the best way is Jesse and I will talk about our experiences in Los Angeles and how this place has evolved. I think maybe that's the fairest way to answer that.
Probably. That definitely seems fair.
I'm going to talk more about that crap. So yeah.
But somebody did ask, and that's a fair question. Who are you? I didn't really give you a proper introduction. I on the Twitter sphere in the description.
Yeah, so some dude was like, I don't know who this guy is. I'm like, I don't know either. Whatever.
Yeah, but tell us a little bit about yourself. You were getting into it a little bit, and then tangents and this and that. So yeah.
So you guys know my historical travel, Pakistan, Hasidic neighborhood, New Hampshire. So I was a lawyer in New York, and I sold my first script 20 years ago when I was a lawyer in New York. I said, I can do this. And I moved to LA in April of 2001. So it'll be 20 years in just a couple of weeks. And and I've been working as a full-time screenwriter for 20 years. In that time, I've written a lot of television. The big claim to fame that got me a lot of attention was a show called Sleeper Cell that was on Showtime. And that was a sort of breakthrough show back in 2005, 2006. That was about a Muslim FBI agent who infiltrates Al-Qaeda and stops them from doing a terrorist attack. That got a bunch of Emmys and Golden Globes and whatever. And so I got on the map at that point. But I've been around for, like I said, I've worked on a lot of genre shows, worked on Bionic Woman, most recently on Roswell, New Mexico, which is on the CW. I was the co-AP on that. And in the time, I've written a couple of novels. And so that's basically my background.
That's awesome. Great summary. And also, Emily, I didn't forget you. It just honestly took me this long to figure out how to open this box.
She's been struggling. I've been watching her.
So Emily sent me the necklace it says, I'm getting hitched and I need my bitch. Will you be my bridesmaid?
So congratulations, Emily. Emily's apparently getting married. So congratulations.
Yeah, she's getting married to, if you see him in the chat, it's Ida Steam. But he became a listener after she brought him on board.
And that's really lovely.
Is it bad luck to try it on? I know I'm assuming it's, wear it as a bridesmaid, but can I try it on now? Do I get to?
I don't know the rituals of LA marriage, so I don't know.
She's in Canada. So.
She's in Canada. You're gonna go up there?
Oh yeah, hell
you
yeah.
might never be able to leave. We're talking about LA lockdown. Canada's lockdown.
True.
Here, go in that concentration camp for a month. We'll let you know when you can come out.
It's not for 18 months, so
I don't know, man.
They've got a year and a half to figure it out.
Canada's pretty crazy. It's crazy. It's one of the craziest places on the planet from my friends in Canada. So
dude, I'm hearing that from all my Canadian friends too. And I'm like, the funny thing is I had one of them saying oh, well, it's like this in Canada and Latin and America. It's so this way. And I'm like, we're catching up though. Like you're still thinking America like 10 years ago. Like think of Canada 5 years ago. That's America now. Like we're not as extreme, but we're catching up with some of that shit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But oh my God.
That's pretty. It's pretty. Is that like a silver chain?
Yes. And this is very me too. The elegant silver and the nice.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Silver setting. And
that's really nice.
And the bridesmaid's dress that she picked out are lovely. Oh, I have it on backwards like a genius. Let's try that again.
Well, we can't see. It's really small on the screen, so we can't see.
Fine. You can't see anything anyway. If I get it the right way, it'll just pick up the light and sparkle a little bit, and that'll be fun. Well, I did have it on the right way. Anyway, I'm going to put it back before a cat tears it off my neck. So, I'm so excited, though. Oh, wait, a super chat. Let me grab it real quick.
Somebody else's super chat? Okay, more stuff.
Ninja Lawyer Steve says, actually emailed you something nice for once.
Okay.
I love your memes, Ninja Lawyer Steve. I absolutely adore them. But I'm happy to see what you regard as nice as opposed to anything else you've sent me previously. There was something. What was I thinking? Oh, yes, that was something. I'm going to see.
I saw Emily made a recent comment that I support about Mr. Trudeau. If you want to read that. I've been fantasizing it. It's a nice.
Emily has a lot of opinions about.
Yeah, I agree with her on that one.
Chopping him off in the middle of. Yeah, just the other thing is it's just honestly just to see how he does. Just how would you survive if you had to survive? You wouldn't because you suck because you're.
Well, he put on a black face, and pretend to be an Indian guy and whatever. And so I can't look. I've watched you and I know your views on politics. And I will say this: what I can't stand. I'm perfectly cool with liberal people. 99% of people here in LA are liberal. I can't stand the fake liberal woke crap. I can't take it. I just can't take it because it's disrespectful to people who are actually authentically liberal.
Exactly. And the honest truth, just like we joke about it because it's true, because none of these white dudes who are out on these crusades for social justice have unblemished records. I mean, I have a family member who's like full social justice warrior, right? She has a deleted video from her past where she made a mashup of the remember the Bed Intruder song? It was the remix news thing. And Enrique Iglesias' Tonight I'm Fucking You song. And it was Tonight I'm Raping You. It was hilarious. Okay. It was absolutely
But now it's a banished video. So yeah.
That's since been deleted. I'm like, you'd cancel yourself over that shit today. So don't sit here. And the thing is, the same people who want to hold Kevin Hart accountable for shit from 10 years ago, people accountable, fucking John Wayne has been dead for God however long, they want to fucking cancel his ass. It's like you in more recent years have done more fucked up shit. So get the fuck off your high horse and shut up.
Well, it's my experience. The woke are people that are not only are they frauds, they're frauds with the past that they're trying to hide. This isn't a reaction to cover themselves up, right? And it's all about fitting in socially and having social power. People like us, who whatever our beliefs are, we're authentic about them, and we can admit, I used to think like that 10 years ago. I don't think like that anymore. And that's okay. That's part of the human process, right? But because they are inherently fraudulent, they have to cover their past.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They don't even believe what they're saying today. They didn't, that dark past is that their truth.
I remember having a moment because I have said, we all say messed up things. We've all said fucked up shit. We all do that. And I had a moment where I took that, that intuitive test that's supposed to test your inherent racial bias and all that and whatnot. And I was like,
Jesus.
What?
I'd never take that test. All right.
Well, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me see. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm going to test somewhere on here because I've said some shit.
We're all human. It's part of the human nature to be tribal. It's human instinct.
I was surprised at how low I tested. And I was like, I maybe just got lucky and whatever. And I thought about it more and I was like, no, I think it's just because I'm upfront about my shit. Like, I don't have these subconscious biases because I've learned how to acknowledge when they happen and have them not be insidious and subconscious, but just deal with them.
It's like the journey. One of my big heroes is Malcolm X, and most people don't actually know his history, but he went through a lot of transformations and changes, and and he was for a while, he was a militant racist. He believed black people were, he had been experienced so much white racism that he flipped it and he believed black people were the superior race, right? That was his way to transcend that. And eventually got to a place where he transcended that. And then, and he was his pilgrimage to Mecca where he's like, he went there and he saw black people and white people and Chinese people. The one thing he noticed, people often go, well, he transcended racism in Mecca. The thing that happened is he saw all these different races there in pilgrimage, and I've been to pilgrimage, right? He'd been there, and there were 2 million people, and he said, but he noticed the white people tended to hang out with each other, like the Europeans pilgrims and the African pilgrims and the Egyptian pilgrims, and everyone tended to gravitate towards people like themselves, but they were polite to each other and they accepted each other. And he said that's normal. It's perfectly normal to be a little tribal and to be with whatever group you identify with. It's about, can you be still respectful of other human beings while having whatever personal preferences you got? It's not shameful to say I'm going to marry somebody of my own ethnicity. There's nothing wrong with that. It's shameful to say I'm not going to let you marry who you want. Right? Yeah.
Exactly. I've never understood that logic. I discovered that when I was a teenager. I had a brief, I dated a black guy from Liberia for a couple of weeks, and he, their family had emigrated not that long ago. He was really, really nice guy, really, really sweet guy. But even in that short time, there were so many cultural differences, so many cultural barriers that where it was like there was nothing in the world that stopped us from being good friends. And we continued. The thing is, even after we broke up, he was one of the only guys throughout my tumultuous teenage years that I remained on good terms with after we split up. Because at the heart of it, it was just we didn't get each other. And some of that was how
that's cool. That's cool.
Fucking continents with completely different values, and has nothing to do with being racist or skin color. I found him perfectly attractive, but it's the same way. It's for the same reason that like nobody finds it weird when you say, "Well, we broke up because we have nothing in common." Nobody finds that weird at all. And yet people find it weird that humans naturally have more things in common with other people who are more like them. Yeah, and that's not bad.
Whatever. An African American, and the weird thing is I can't even say African American anymore. That's not cool anymore. That was the norm for the last 20 years, and now it's like that's now. Well, they're not really African, so now it's black again. And black was uncool for a while. Now it's whatever.
Yeah,
now it's like the norm, and African American is uncool. Whatever. So a black screenwriter friend of mine, who's a very successful television writer, posted this on Twitter a while back and caused a stir. He said, why? Because, he watched a lot of the CW shows. I've worked on the CW several times. And, and he pointed out, like, all these CW shows, every relationship is interracial. He said, why can't I just see two black people together? What's wrong with that? And people got really upset. He's like, why can't I just see a black man and a black woman? Why can't I see that? Why does every black man have to be with a white woman? And because I've worked in CW and they are very much all about promoting lots everybody getting together. I was like, yeah, but that's not totally authentic because tends to be a lot of same ethnicity dating still in human society. So why don't we show that too?
Here's the funny thing is like you really hit the nail on the piece of it too, which is it's the problem is this absolutism, which is what happens when you lean into and embrace tribalism. It becomes only our way, only my way, only one way. That absolutism is always going to breed anger and resentment, no matter how right you think you are. Because if you made every couple only black, then we'd go right back to the complaints that it's racist to not have any interracial couples. Yeah. And if you make them all interracial, then you have the exact same complaint. Whoa, what the hell? I'm a black woman who likes black men. Why can't I see that? You have to have all of it. All means all. Inclusive means everybody. Diversity means everybody. Normal.
Just reflect humanity.
Exactly.
It's not complicated.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's so easy to unravel these things, because it's so basic. The thing is, you break it down into its simplest pieces. And in its simplest pieces, the thing I always come back to is you talk about the diversity. The way we're talking about diversity in, say, the Hollywood writers' room, where now the narrative is, well, you have to be black to write black characters. You have to be Asian. You have to be the thing to write the thing. Now it's not enough. You have to be the thing to play the thing.
I just went through that, Jesse. I was up for a major project on Netflix with I won't say her name, but a very famous African-American black actress who has multiple awards. You'll know her. I mean, she's and I couldn't even believe. I'm like, oh my God, I've gotten to this level that I'm interacting with her. And we were developing a TV show together and I was up for it. And basically they said, well, Netflix is like, well, he's Pakistani. Can we get some black writers? And so they're like, I waited 6 months while they actually went out and tried to find other writers to come up with a competing take. After 6 months, they came back with 2 young black writers. And so we all pitched it together. And at the end, I got the call from the actor saying, you were the best pitch. You're the one I want to work with. But Netflix says this can't hire a brown dude for a black show. And said, I'm working with one of the writers. I'm not that excited about working with him. And hopefully we can get his take up to where yours is going to be. But that's how it's going to be. I said, that was 3 months ago. I'm not melanin enough to do the show. And so I was like,
That's,
all right. It's hard. I mean, that's 3
if
months
we
ago.
don't acknowledge
Netflix is like, yeah, this guy Brown ain't enough. Okay.
if we don't acknowledge that kind of thing as racist, then who are we as people? I mean, it's one thing to, and this is the problem too. This is where, again, that's why it's never okay. You know, it started for me, the biggest red flag for me was fucking college. And hearing a friend of mine or acquaintance of mine that I had previously respected their takes on things, and they were in the queer community, and the phrase "die cis scum" was going around the campus. And I had finally just found out what cis meant. This was brand new at the time. They probably fucking invented it on this campus. And I tried to have a conversation with this acquaintance about, well, why is that an okay thing to say? That's just embracing hatred. It's embracing,
and it's likely talking about their parents as well. I'm guessing the parents were probably cis in their reproduction.
Exactly. And they said, and the answer was, well, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. For us to hate on straight people, on cis people, because
we're the oppressed minority.
Because we'll always be the minority. We'll never be the majority, so we'll never have the power to do anything about it. I'm like, well, okay, that's all fair and good, but what happens if you do? What happens if one day you do? We're just supposed to accept and hope.
Or the system just comes to your aid. Even if you're not the majority, the system says, we're going to give you the power on you, or we're going to act on your behalf.
Exactly. So the system gives you the power, and I'm supposed to just blindly accept that you're going to just turn around and behave with that after all of this. And that even brings you back into things like, okay, the conversation about, well, black people can't be racist against white people. Okay, now there's a law. You can split hairs on that topic left and right about what does racism mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? But at the end of the day, when you embrace a narrative that says, well, black people can't be racist against white people, you open the door for, well, black people just can't be racist.
Well,
and therefore,
this was resolved in 1965. Malcolm X went through this. Exactly. He went through the white man is the devil, and then he said, I was wrong. Exactly. He went through this.
And history agreed that Malcolm X wrong for saying that. Martin Luther King, yay, everything he says good. And for those who've done more of their reading and research, Malcolm X, after repenting, fell much more. He still stayed a little more virulent in his rhetoric, but he fell much more in line with the peace and love and law.
He was killed by black nationalists for renouncing it. He wasn't killed by a white dude like Martin Luther King. He was killed by extremists in the Nation of Islam movement that said when he renounced racism, they're like, this is bad PR for us, and they took him out.
And you see that left and right today. And the thing is, it's not extreme anymore. It's become the norm that if someone's not extreme enough for you, you take them out of your own party, no matter who they are, and it's uncomfortable. It's scary. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Yes, I saw him slip by. It's good to see you.
He is probably doing whatever he needs to do in between streaming for 3 hours. But his
I think you guys got together over the time that I've been watching both of your channels.
Yeah,
probably. I started watching Jeff first. I was watching World Class Bullshitters. That's his channel, right? Yeah. I was watching that because I loved his analysis right after The Last Jedi of like the toys, right? Yeah. And then I found you pulling your hair out about the same time. And then at some point you guys got together and I was like, when did this happen?
Yeah, so that was because I had seen Jeff like around the time I was starting to wanted to make Star Wars content. I think I found Jeff pretty quickly after that, which was cool. But then we hadn't had anything in common. The first person I reached out to was Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, because quite honestly, I thought like I was nobody at that point. So I thought none of the other smart YouTubers and all that were gonna want anything to do with me. Jeremy had this brand of yelling that was reflective of my own. And I was like, this guy. So we ended up collaborating. I met Anna through that. And then
wasn't that the famous car ride with you and Anna? Weren't you all together in a car somewhere? And it reminded me of like Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears, and all the people in that same car together, that epic moment, right?
Star Wars Celebration. So that's when it all went down, with Star Wars Celebration of 2019. So Anna and I had hung out in person a couple times. We were starting to get really close. I had met Jeremy in person, I think just once at that point. He had come out here. And then, Jeff and I had talked a little bit, like we had mentioned I'd been on the High Council a couple of times, and we had, mentioned being excited to drink together and all that.
Yeah.
And So Ann and I and Jeremy had shown up a few days early. We're hanging out. That's one of the first car streams was from that. The one where Anna's double strapped in the back seat and screaming like a psychopath.
I remember that. Yes.
The iconic one. That was from one of those days there. And so then
we're hearing about how you guys hooked up.
So first day in the convention center, we see each other immediately. Jeff's like, she's got a butt. And I'm like, he's big. And by the end of the weekend, we were like that.
So was it like love at first sight? Was it, or just like horny at first sight? Or was it like, I don't know about this at first sight?
It wasn't horny. It was something else. It was like, there was just a connection, like an immediate connection.
You invited me to hang out in Columbus within like 90 minutes of meeting me.
I did. We were down at a restaurant and I'm just like, hey, yeah, come drink with me in Columbus. I'll be there for a fencing trip in a couple months. And he was like, sure, sounds great. And, bought the guys a round of shots. By the next bar, we were getting schmammered. I was choking Jeff out, which is my classic sign of affection.
Well, that goes back to being punched in kindergarten by the girl that likes you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was my level up for it. It was like, here, let me just wrap my arm around your neck and see if I can make you really dizzy.
Little judo choke there. I like it.
Lower your inhibitions even faster. Hello and welcome everyone who's presumably coming over from the High Council. Don't forget to press the like button. I
think you've doubled. Like I think you went up from 40 to 90 in the last few minutes.
Yeah, that's what happens when the High Council finally ends.
You send him over to the girl. Yeah, I got it. That's a loyal boyfriend. I like that. That's good, man.
It's
all right. So you're Sagittarius. Jeff, what's your zodiac?
Libra.
That's actually a good combo. That works well.
Anna sent me the coolest horoscope app, and I read it like not long after Jeff and I had first. So the romance happened in Columbus a couple months later when he came out to Ohio, or we came out from Ohio tomorrow when I came out to Ohio, and she sent me this app, so I'm up there with her shortly thereafter. It was all the stuff with her sister, and I was up in this is one of my favorite nights, by the way, where I'll always remember this night too, because it was after the memorial for Anna's sister, and we were in her childhood room, and we had the VHS of The Last Jedi, or the Return of the Jedi on. Fuck that movie, because I keep doing that. We had the VHS of Return of the Jedi on, and we were just chatting about stuff. And we looked at the horoscope, and I was reading the one for Libra and Sagittarius. I'm like, oh my God, this is me and Jeff, and it's so perfect. and then she was all like, oh my God. Again, at this time too, it's like we weren't even together. We had hooked up. We didn't know what was going to happen. She was like, oh my God, but Jeff was thinking about getting a house in Ohio. So are you going to move to Ohio? What's going to happen? I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to get together properly. But
how did it end up? Did they get together?
I guess we did.
Right,
so. Cool. Oh, here we go. A little romance. So wait, so Jeff, you weren't based in LA. Have you come out to LA, or were you based in LA?
He was in Ohio.
Yeah.
Until January of
the girl, man. That's like a Tom Hanks movie.
We'll sell a script for $1 million.
Actually, yeah. Do you want to write the treatment for it?
As long as you pay me. Everyone's always like, hey, can you write it for free and then we'll split it? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think
so.
No. Dude, everybody for the comic, I pay them outright, like all my people.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, that's a sign of honor. In this town, especially in the creative arts, so many people take advantage of people, and if you just pay them, even if it's just a respectful sum, it shows that you value them as artists and as human beings. And I always try to, when I did my short film that I mentioned, the little Hasidic, supernatural thriller, that was the first little movie I directed, like a 20-minute film. It was like a 5-day shoot. And it had like a real crew. I got like a feature crew. There was 50 people on it. And at the end, we finished filming at 2 a.m. in the morning on the 5th night. And I went to every single person on the crew, and I had gotten like their check for like their fee. And I went and I gave it to every single person in hand, and I shook their hand because it meant so much to me that these people had come together to help me make my film.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's such a gift to be able to give that, since so much low budget filmmaking doesn't involve monetary exchange at all. There's so many people if everyone collected on their IOUs, there'd be a lot more rich people in Hollywood.
Well, in the comic industry, they made a mistake. Those guys that split off and did their own business, they would have stuck around for just some pennies compared to what they ended up making.
Yeah.
But these places just don't want to pay creators, and look what happens. They create their own competition.
Damn straight.
Well, that's all it comes down to. People don't understand the basics of economics. Everyone's got to pay their bills, and if you don't compensate them, they're going to find a way to be compensated. And when they figure out to be compensated without you, you're done.
Absolutely, exactly. So Dixon Sider says, "Can I have your PO box to send items to you?" I don't know if you were asking about me or Cameron. Since
I do not have a PO box.
So he does not have one, but I did just post mine down there. So hopefully you grabbed it if you need it. If you need it at any point, it's always on just in the about section of the YouTube page.
Only lovely ladies can send me presents.
There you go.
So
And
I don't know
Dixon
if Dixon does
Sider.
have a lovely lady name, but it's 2021. I don't know anymore, so it's all good.
As far as I know, he's a dude and is a fan of My Little Pony. Which,
all right, it's cool.
Almost in frame.
There you go. Almost. You can kind of see it's in the dark in the back. Matt Decker says, "OMG, Jeff is black." JK. It's a mystery to
Jeff
the world.
is back.
Yeah, Jeff, I've never, because I never rarely see your face. It's always the world class Bush thing. So I have never had any idea what your ethnicity is, nor have I cared. So,
well, now you know.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Also, guys, we have more people watching than we have likes, so let's change that. Make sure you press the motherfucking like button. Almost Tactical says, "Thank you for the super chat." Says, "Girl says, come watch me fight with a sword. We all take risks."
Yeah.
Well,
This one paid off.
So I have a funny story of the first time I went to Comic-Con. I was a producer on Kings at the time, which is a show filming in New York. And before we moved to New York, we were still in LA, and Comic-Con was happening, and we were going there, and I'd worked on Bionic Woman, and one of the writers on our show was Regis Philbin's daughter, JJ Philbin. And she's absolutely lovely and bubbly, beautiful, blonde, bubbly girl, right? The very Southern California, Sunnydale, Buffy type character. And she's lovely and brilliant. And she went to Comic-Con, and she had never been to Comic-Con before. And she was so freaked out with all these, just beautiful, blonde, bubbly cheerleader type girl walks in, and all these dudes with lightsabers just descend on her from all sides. And she was totally traumatized. She was like, this really isn't my scene. But she's absolutely great. God bless JJ.
Poor baby. Oh man. Just because I have to pimp it, guys. Back stealing solo. Yeah, it's great. It's the greatest project. Covered by Anna. It's awesome. It's Scorpio, so totally your type.
Well, Anna's got some dude, we always hear, but she's got a thing for Cable, right? She's got
that Henry guy. Yeah, that's Superman. That guy plays Superman or something. Yeah,
I don't see it.
It's just a guy.
She gets attacked by a lot of jealous women and dudes that want to get in their pants and can't handle the fact that she's already got a dude.
Dude, it's hilarious how many jealous people come after, which is so stupid because it's people are so ignorant of what it's people don't realize that every single human being has problems. No one's ever heard the fucking phrase, the grass is always greener, no one's ever heard any adages ever or fucking read a fable, it's how life goes. You think you have it, shit. If you have your problems don't go away, they just get transferred. And if the problems come from you, they're gonna be the same fucking problems. And if you have more things, there's gonna be bigger problems and manifest in bigger ways and touch more people. So that sounded creepy.
Well, and we know in Los Angeles, especially, everyone's outer appearance is a facade, especially in the film industry. Everyone that goes out of their way to show how happy and glorious they are, they usually have pretty miserable lives. It's really the opposite often.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's the hilarious part about it. It's people, Anna doesn't even make a secret about the shit she's gone through in the past couple of years. And people don't even take long enough to see that. They can't see past the number of followers she has and that gorgeous face she's got. And well, she must have it all. Fuck her.
What happened? I didn't know her at the time. I was just a fan but I was watching when the information on her sister was coming out, and I was like, oh my God, she's missing. What's happening? She's missing. Afterwards, I saw people. Once it was known she had passed away, I was like, people were attacking her. I couldn't understand the lack of humanity there. People were actually attacking her about her sister. I was like, you really must have something pathological now.
Yep.
It really is, because it's that thing. It's this, and it's the sickness that's affecting more and more people. Where it's what you're doing and saying is wrong and bad.
Your mother would say, "Don't do that." Your father would hit you over the head. Don't do that.
Exactly, but you've justified it by believing so adamantly, so ridiculously in this bullshit morality. And really, it's cognitive dissonance. It's wrong.
Yeah, your heart knows. Your soul knows this is immoral.
Exactly.
Don't do this. You don't like a person, don't talk about their dead sister.
Exactly. But you've gone so far already and you've been so unrepentant already that the only way for you to handle it is just embrace it more and more.
Yeah,
So
it's like you
people-
got to go all the way to the Sith. Yeah, there's no way to stop. Which is
Exactly.
how I got thrown off of Twitter. You know, I got killed off Twitter 2 weeks ago. You know, and I'm absolutely convinced it was somebody at Lucasfilm said, "Get this guy out of here. He's causing us a little bit of a problem."
Wouldn't be surprising, you know. They seem
Because
to-
right after that, all the hit pieces came out on Jeremy and everybody else within a few days of that, and you know, it really was, and there was weird stuff happening before. I was getting stalked by strange accounts that were following me and then like talking about me and on different threads saying, "Don't listen to this guy. He's like a fraud. He's a failed screenwriter. He's this and that." Right? I was like, "Why are you following me and talking shit about me on other threads?" Like it was like an organized attack, and then I was pulled.
Yeah, I've experienced similar, and I know never a lot of us have. It's weird, like it's becoming this. I don't know where these clubs meet, but these clubs meet and they make plans and they do these things, and it's weird. Ninja Lawyer Steve says, "I had to step out. Did you enjoy the email? I just checked it, so let me share it with everyone because I did indeed."
Is it something that's shareable, or are you going to get in trouble?
Oh, very much shareable. Ninja Lawyer Steve just wanted to, show us what a day in the life of a ninja lawyer looked like.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Right.
Ninja Lawyer Steve is awesome. Which one's
We're all
you?
ninjas now with these masks, man. We all look like one.
Exactly. Now we can all be ninjas together.
Yeah, I have to laugh as a Muslim. Like I'm laughing right now at Europe because like France and like and Switzerland made a big deal about banning the burqa and the face veil, and then they said at the same time they mandated masks. It's like you can't wear the burqa, but you must wear this mask, and it's just funny. It's just like it's just like the comical lack of self-awareness in France or whatever.
He said it's all the shit. Just about what you're saying. The logic just brings you right to the same conclusions every time. If you follow this idiotic brand of logic, you're racist. You're a bigot. That's the only conclusion. And the rest of us who are here literally saying, "I don't care who or what you are, just treat people decently," are not the bigots. It's pretty fucking obvious.
Well, France is a screw. I mean, I worked in France. I actually developed a show there for Canal Plus, and it's a screwed up country because it's deluded. It thinks it's liberal, but it's really racist. It's really anti-Semitic. It hasn't changed from the 40s. These are the same people that said, "Hitler, sure, come on in." I mean, they haven't changed, but they believe they have. It's this weird experience I have.
But it's classic. It really is classic French psychology from the war era, because it's the same thing. They rolled over for Hitler, but then if you ask the French people, every single French person who was alive during the time was part of the resistance.
Oh yeah, the Maquis. It was like, man, there was like 50 guys in the Maquis. What are you talking about?
It's like, wow.
Until Americans got their heads blown off in Normandy. That's when stuff started happening. You guys had nothing accomplished.
It's like, but you want to write your revisionist history, and that's fine. You're going to keep writing yourselves as the good guys and not confronting your own demons.
Yeah.
Oh, Diego Flores. He says Henry Cavill is the greatest. He should be in everything. Yes, I sent for him to the point of annoyance for my girlfriend, but the man is a saint.
You just have good
Diego, you have a girlfriend and you're simping for Henry Cavill. Well, it's 2021 and there's a broad range of relationships out there, so it's all good.
See, we love and accept everyone, but you know what? We're the toxic bigots. It's fine.
It's all good.
Dixon Sider says, "I nominate Jeff as Andre's son in the Princess Bride remake as long as Cameron writes and directs it."
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere near a Princess Bride remake. That's blasphemy. No one should be even thinking about it.
Agreed.
Well, there goes
burn
my
it with
big break.
fire. Unless they want to cast me in it as a gender swap Inigo.
Well, they're remaking. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever seen the classic Hitchcock film Rebecca?
I have not, but I've heard.
It is one of the greatest movies I'd ever seen. I had a phrase when a friend and I would get together once a week and we'd watch an old Hitchcock film we hadn't seen. Rebecca is utterly one of the greatest works of cinema I've ever seen. And then they're like remaking it with like two random actors. You're like, no, you don't touch it. This is like Citizen Kane. I mean, you have to watch it. It's actually one of the most compelling mood pieces. It's gothic and it's just magical. It pulls you in another world. And I just can't even imagine they're remaking that. To me, it just horrifies me.
Why do people? I don't understand. There's still so many ideas yet to be written. People are writing new ones.
I've written a lot of those, and people are like, "Yeah, we don't want that. Let's just do that remake."
No, let's do that one because we know it worked already. But
a movie. I think you'd actually like this one. I wrote it as a movie, and it's my third novel. I haven't published it yet, but I finished the manuscript, and it was based on a screenplay I wrote about the biblical tale of Esther. As a spy story. It's like Hadassah as the spy infiltrating the Persian king's court, right? Oh. And I wrote it as like Alias. It's an epic, historical epic, but it's written in this modern sort of feel like Alias. And I've been trying to get that made. Like, why is a Muslim guy telling a Jewish story? I'm like, Yeah, but the script is good. Why do you care who I am?
This is a compelling fucking story. I was just showing Jeff my drunk Purim story the other day because we were just that time of year. You know, it's that time of year. But no, yeah, it's a great one. It's one that sticks with you too because it's fun. There's a reason why Purim became the Jewish Halloween essentially and for the kiddies and all that because it's a fun holiday.
And I explored in my story, which is essentially it's about her taking on a new identity, and then it becomes how you survive with new identities, which I think is been a Jewish historical theme.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, there's so much to talk about. Even when you don't have to remake things, there are plenty of biblical stories. There are plenty of ancient stories that. Myths and things that have captured people's imaginations for thousands of years that have never been brought to life in modern ways or in ways that are digestible to a modern audience, and there's so much, there's just a treasure trove of fun ideas, mind tickling. I mean, remember the 90s when you had shit all the way up to even then the Matrix that fucking changes everything, changes the way you think about the world and you see when was the last time a movie came out that changed the way you saw the world? Yeah.
Matrix is really one of the few ones in recent years, right? Which essentially brought mystical philosophy to the mainstream. People didn't realize Matrix is just saying what the Sufis and the Kabbalists and the Buddhists have been saying for hundreds of years, that the world is an illusion and there's another reality that you can access.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's exactly that. They go back to all the Joseph Campbell. It's the same core stories, and the thing that people forget. They want to recycle the parts that aren't the universal pieces, not those core universal themes that exist forever and ever and ever. Sure. The hilarious part is people look at that stuff now and goes, well, that's been done before. That's been done. Yes, no shit, Sherlock. Somebody wrote someone made his life's work about how there's only a few stories that are always getting recycled. And the exciting part is adding new things, not going, oh, that's been done before. So let's do something new and hip and crazy and trendy that's going to expire before it's even done production.
Yeah, look at The Last Jedi. It's already dated. It doesn't feel relevant to 2021. I mean,
no, the politics, which we were just saying, like my head's spinning from how much the social climate has changed in 5 years. 5 years without a major event. And now we're going to go through another, total head spin, with all the fallout from the pandemic. Because every time there's a major event, you have things like that. It's just crazy. Like we're reeling in this change now. And the idiocy, the total folly of media companies who are trying to keep up with these trends that change faster than the people creating them can keep up with.
But again, no one is trying to make a movie in Hollywood. No one is trying to make profit. They're just trying to keep their job one more day. That's the whole system. The whole system is like what's happening to Disney Lucasfilm. Nobody's thinking about the fact that Disney is losing massive amounts of money. They're just trying to keep their job one more day.
Exactly.
And if I do this and Kathleen Kennedy won't fire me today, I don't give a crap that this company's going to fail in 5 years. Not my problem. I won't be at this company in 5 years. Hopefully I'm at a better place, right? Nobody is thinking in any way about the future of the entertainment or of the company itself.
Exactly. And that's, it's everything. And that's the way we've become, this tribalistic idea. Only care about your people. And that circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
And eventually it comes down to yourself, and then eventually you don't even like yourself. So what's left? So we have a little quote that's mentioning my books. Well, what's this thing here from Diego?
Yeah, Diego Flores is a huge super chat. Thank you, my dude. It says, Kamran,
God bless you.
Made me wonder, have you ever played Europa Universalis 4 and Crusader Kings 3?
I have not.
I feel like you would like them, especially Crusader, since it allows you to roleplay a dynasty from the Viking era to the end of the Middle Ages.
Well, he's referencing one of my novels, which is Shadow of the Swords, which is on the Crusades, and it's told from the point of view, told from the point of view of this Jewish woman who serves as a spy for Saladin versus Richard the Lionheart. So during the Crusade. So
I have to ask, what do you think? What did you think of Kingdom of Heaven?
The funny thing is, Kingdom of Heaven, I had written the screenplay that this novel is based on. I had written before Kingdom of Heaven was even announced. And when it was announced, it was very early in my career. I must have been like, a year into coming to LA. People are like, well, no one's going to make any more Crusades movie. Now Ridley Scott's doing it. And the thing with Kingdom of Heaven, it's literally the prequel to my story. His story is about the Christian kingdom and its collapse when Saladin takes it, right? That's the end of the story. And then at the end, Richard the Lionheart's like, we're going to take it back, right? And that ends. My story it literally starts off with the same battle, the Battle of Hattin, where Saladin defeats the Crusaders and eliminates the kingdom, the Crusader kingdom. And then the rest of the story is about his battle with Richard the Lionheart for what happens next.
I feel like you just need to get this book in front of Ridley Scott because he's a guy who likes tying up loose ends. So
yeah, and it's literally the sequel to the story. And God,
because I felt it took me a while to get around to see now, and even though I'd wanted to, because at the time I loved Orlando Bloom and would watch anything he did, and when I did, I was really surprised because I was like, well, Orlando Bloom, hooray! But it was. I think the movie didn't do as well as it did because it was very dense, It
was very dense. And also the 3-hour version was a better movie. The one that he couldn't put in the theater. I mean, he had a lengthy 3-hour version. And the thing is, the 3-hour version, Saladin is a huge character. And Hollywood's like, this Muslim guy, 1 hour's enough of him, out.
That's what I did watch. And I remember because it took me years to watch it. It was I was like, this is a long ass movie, but I was so compelled every minute of it. It was just it was one of those things. It was like, when Bob Dylan wrote like a Rolling Stone and they wouldn't play it on the radio because it was too long. It just wasn't.
Well, but when it also comes to the Middle East, there are agendas. There's no evil conspiracy. There's people who are in individual positions of power who have issues. Like I remember when do you remember that movie, The Kite Runner? Remember The Kite Runner?
Oh yeah,
right? Based on the book about Afghanistan, these kids in Afghanistan. Yeah. So I had a friend who worked in the movie, and this is a story he told me. I can't confirm it because it's just from him. He said he worked in the movie and he got really angry in the process because one of the execs, the end allegedly, what he told me, the end credits of the cut that he did was going to have a beautiful song from Cat Stevens playing over the end credits of this movie, right? And Cat Stevens is a Muslim convert, right? And he, and so he said the exec pulled the song. He said, I don't want that Islamic fanatic song on here. And that's just a dude with prejudice in a position of power in the studio that just pulled it. And I've had enough of those direct experiences to know that's not a made up story because I've had that done to my face where people are like, yeah, we're pulling that out. Like, okay. Yeah. But the town is like that. The town has all these prejudices while pretending it's liberal.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely it's so apparent when you look very closely because the illusion crumbles because there's no consistency to the logic, as we've been consistently pointing out, and it's so hilarious to me because when you look at all the things that are shifting, all the things that are changing, and yes, there were over the past decade or so really. Richard Chu's perspective was that since it was only when the Academy got called out over Straight Outta Compton that writers' rooms started to change and colors palette started to change in some of the creative teams. But the whole thing is you look at the top levels, none of these CEOs have retired. None of the production, none of these big producers have ceded their titles.
The people of power are the same. And in the writers' rooms, yes, there is now a big push for diversity, but I've experienced it. Those people have no power. I've even had those conversations with the boss. I'm like, we just brought this African-American, I guess now we say black. We brought this black kid in who's going to be for the diversity slot. Why are we not giving them a script? Why are they out after 10 weeks and replaced by another black kid who's not going to be given any power? I mean,
I thought we all agreed that tokenizing people was racist, like way back in the 90s. I mean, like that South Park kind of nailed that one on the head. I thought we all agreed, but I guess not. But thank you.
Here's a nice little thing. This very nice little chat in the super chat here.
Thank you so much. She says, minor injury to my eye Sunday. After listening to Cameron for 10 minutes, I feel better. It could be the drops I put in, but I choose to believe Cameron is magic. Cameron is magic. One of my favorite guests took 10 minutes to write this chat. Worth it. I'm sorry, this chat.
That chat. And it's Canadian $20, which is actually a lot of money. Yeah,
that's right.
Especially because you got poor guys who are in Canada trapped in this horrific country surrounded by it's a moat basically.
Still sending his love. As for those of you in the US, y'all are getting those big ass stimulus checks. So set aside, if you set aside enough for the ultimate collector's edition of Stealing Solo, you will still have like over $1,000 left over. I like to think that my awkward ad breaks are less jarring than Ben Shapiro's, but that'll be up to you.
They're better than the Omaha steak ones for sure.
Because let's talk about Ben Shapiro for a second. So everyone got real excited that Gina Carano is working with Ben Shapiro, and I've had some very nice, polite exchanges with Gina. I like her a lot, right? And I wish her tremendous success. I'm hopeful that she will not be drawn into Ben's other stuff because Ben's got a lot of stuff I don't agree with. People think I'm right wing. Yeah, but I look at individual issues. This is my belief on that. This is belief on that. And Ben, when it comes to Middle East, he's a neocon, man. He's like bomb the crap out of these brown guy people. He don't care about nothing. So I just hope he's not pitching to Gina. Let's do these old Chuck Norris movies from the 80s where give her a gun and she takes out a bunch of people in turbans, right? I don't think she would do that, but I'm nervous about the kind of crap he's going to put in front of her.
Well, everyone has, like you said, everyone has an agenda, and it's very clear with that it was very clear watching the interview too that he was going ham on, well, conservatives like us, conservatives like us, conservatives like us.
And she didn't really play that game.
She was clearly uncomfortable being slapped by that label. I'm sure it was something that was negotiated. It's like everyone has to play the game at some point. The thing is, at the end of the day, unless you're independently wealthy to create your own stuff, you need help from somebody. So
and you got to play. Look, if you see Gina's recent Instagram post, she's out there very critical about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, she's just, again, she believes what she believes. I kind of like that. Like, a lot of my beliefs could be labeled as conservative, right? But a lot of my beliefs are pretty left-wing on certain issues, and some of the people used to follow me before I was kicked off of Twitter were like, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, yo, why'd you put me in that box?
Exactly. I get that shit all the fucking time. And that was one of the other things I was struck with Gina Carano. I'm like, rather than listening to this interview and tearing apart how evil and right-wing and this and blah she is, the people who hate her and despise her should listen to this interview and take note, because she is very open about the fact that she was completely apolitical, not involved, not aware of anything whatsoever. And what's her immediate surroundings? Her immediate surroundings is Hollywood. She's on, the film set for The Mandalorian. She's in the midst of Hollywood woke culture.
And so she knows what the limits are. I mean, she knows what you talk about, don't talk about in those environments.
The whole point is that with that being her introduction to politics, not even having the other side really, even she was able to see that and go, this doesn't feel right. Let me see what else is out there. And came to these ideas that everyone wants to scream are conservative and evil and this and that. And well, guess what? Maybe if y'all hadn't been a bunch of rabid psychopaths, she might have seen things from your perspective a little bit better.
Sure. I mean, this whole thing, she never once said a single thing about the trans community. All she said is people started hassling her, put this pronoun in bio, put this pronoun in bio, put this pronoun in bio. And she's like, does a little joke like, okay, I'm going to do R2D2, beep, boop, pop. Oh my God, you're mocking trans people. It's like, you guys are all psychopaths.
You're all pronouns. You guys make up pronouns every day, but when I make up pronouns, y'all get mad.
Yeah, because there's pronouns. There are people saying ZE is a pronoun, and they don't want that's the ultimate binary. I'm like, okay.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Gina's just too nice. She's too earnest, right? The shit I would have pulled when they came after me after doing the beep bop boop, the shit I would have pulled would have been upon great reflection. I've actually realized that I identify as completely non-gendered, and I've never had this be open up to me before, and no pronouns really fit who I am. So I chose these because they're reflective of androids, and Star Wars has become very close to me. And so, as I identify in this way. Now I thank you for helping me. I was so excited that you helped me see my true identity, but now you're attacking me for doing exactly what you said. I can't believe how bigoted you are. That's the shit I would have pulled.
Well, we have no idea what she would have said, because she wrote her own addressing the issue thing that Disney PR wouldn't let her put out there. And my interactions with her, she's a well-spoken, intelligent, compassionate human being. I'm sure it was a well-spoken, intelligent, compassionate statement that just what they wanted her to say was, I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. That's what they wanted her to do, instead of some kind of intelligent response. And because I've worked at Disney, that is exactly what they would have her do. They would make her fall on their sword.
So I'll read the super chat, but then I got to tell you something hilarious, because it's the parallels are amazing. Geeky Pixie says, "Hail Jesse Milestone, hail Kamran Pasha, Gina, and hail Jeff. Jeff's right here.
Jeff's right there.
Not a political view. I personally feel she might be independent, not left, not right. That's very much the impression I got. I feel like she's someone who just asks questions and she wants to learn. She has no desire or need to identify with one or the other. She's always gonna, like Cameron, like I, like all of us in this chat, we're gonna take things issue by issue and decide what's right and wrong for us.
I mean, if anything, she feels libertarian to me, which is actually a combination of right and left. She believes in personal freedom. You have the personal freedom to identify any way you want, and I'm going to respect that. You have the personal freedom to walk outside in the park without a mask, as long as you're not bothering anybody. I mean, I think that's the range of her beliefs, which is you do what you do. Jeff, exactly. Pleasure, man.
Jeff will probably be back at some point.
Okay.
He's just getting a jacket. He's not going. He's not going.
Why is LA freezing? Why is LA freezing? I didn't
It's
move
so
into this
cold here right now. I got this heated blanket on my lap.
I don't get
Lando's-
to sharing any of that
You
shit.
can share. You didn't tell me.
The only good thing about this past year in LA, which has been Psychopaths Central, has been everyone is dressed like I Dream of Jeannie. They're all wearing these sexy veils and the midriffs are bare, right? Have you noticed that? Everyone in LA is just like they've got the burqa on, but they've got their belly button showing. I love it. It's all the other way Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I fucking love it. So the funny thing about coming to LA and coming out here to be like, I'm going to be an actor and like learning all this shit is I was 1000% prepared for all of this. It's the craziest sounding thing. When I started to learn about refereeing in the fencing world, I was like, holy fuck, the politics.
Yeah.
The politics of advancing as a referee. It's the same
Wow.
shit. There
Really?
are people at the top who have power. When I started refereeing, you had 3 assigners in Saber. That's my weapon. So you had 3 assigners, and you had to be in one of their pockets in order to get pushed. If you weren't in any of their pockets, you didn't get pushed. But if you were in one of their pockets, the other 2 were gunning for you because it meant you were in direct competition with one of their pets.
You've chosen their side. The other side you want. Okay, yeah.
And then we eradicated that system and got a one-party system in place where just if this guy didn't like you, you were fucked. And then when they went to dismantle that system, he threw a tantrum and they had to just scramble to replace him with anyone who was willing to do it, which is how I ended up.
Yeah, the tyrant dude never gives up his power willingly, right? That's how it works, right? So yeah.
No. And he thought he was irreplaceable. Ha ha ha. But
That's in fencing. Wow.
that's fencing. And the whole hilarious thing too is I got canceled in fencing like 1,000 times. As a referee, I got referee canceled like 5,000 times. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna write the book on it one day. And it's like shit literally where like one of my friends nearly started a fist fight with a coach while he was reffing and finished because he told the coach at one point during this verbal exchange, "You ain't shit, you're not your daddy." And
oh shit.
yeah, them's fighting words. And nothing happened to him. He didn't even have to apologize to this guy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the fucking French coach, the biggest asshole dickwad in the room, is screaming in my ear on the last day of a very long competition. And I simply turn to him and in a very resigned voice say, "Please take your hangover somewhere else."
Oh.
And I got put on probation for a year.
Yeah.
So, because he decided to file an ethics complaint and all that. So, you talk about the evil eye and all that. Oh, you want to file an ethics complaint? They're going to throw the book at me because that's how they always handle Jesse. Well, that's great. I'm going to throw it right the fuck back at you. Your time has come, motherfucker.
Oh, here we go.
So I mustered a multi-referee bullying complaint and got him banned from a couple tournaments and long-term probation, all this really good, deserved, needed stuff. And I'm like, well, this is bad.
I respect that. My philosophy is I never threaten anyone. If I'm pulling out a gun, I'm already pulling the trigger. Right. So it's like you mess with me. There's no threat. There's no back off. There's simply like, oh, you mess with me. We're done. Oh, now you learned your lesson. OK, now we're good. That's my philosophy. And I've used it multiple times in Hollywood. People mess with me because they think little brown Pakistani guy. He's Apu from the Simpsons. He's harmless. Right. I'm like, yeah, I'm harmless until you cross a line with me. And at which point I will mess your career up real bad. And I won't give you any warning that it's coming.
Fuck you. That's my thing is if you come for me and my response is to smile at you, you should probably get your affairs in order.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Almost Tactical. He says, awesome guest, awesome Jesse. Thank you, Almost Tactical. Awesome, Jeff. This is actually I love having Jeff here because obviously I like to get to see him and hold him and touch him.
So Jeff, what are you eating there? I'm getting hungry just watching. What you got?
Leftover mashed potatoes from Boston Market. We didn't really get to eat at all today.
Yeah,
Boston Market is decent. The mashed potatoes there are decent.
We love our Boston Market.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you guys going to go back to the theater now? I went to the theater I went to the AMC Century City. It opened yesterday, and I saw it's open, and there were people there. A lot of people came. I mean, as much as you could because they can only put a certain percentage in the theater. Yeah, but people wanted to see a movie, and Monday night I went and saw it. It was the Tom Hanks movie, News of the World. It's really good.
Yeah.
I saw you posted that on Facebook.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really worth watching. So you guys going to go see a movie in a theater? I would check that out.
Nice. We have a great home entertainment setup right now. So I'm kind of at the point where it's got to be really compelling to get me to go while there's still a mask mandate, because there's no mask mandate in my living room.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I'll never wear one at a movie theater, because how are you gonna eat
To do
popcorn?
the popcorn and
Your
the,
mask is gonna get greasy because your lips get greasy.
Well, I mean, in under the rules, you take it off when you eat, and
Yeah, but like Jeff said, you're gonna get greasy. The mask is gonna get greasy. It's gonna be this whole fucking thing. It's gonna be, and then you're gonna have assholes who are gonna. The thing is, you're gonna have, especially in LA, like you're probably have a 50-50 shot of being in a theater where like one person is eating the whole time and the person sitting as close to them as humanly possible is pissed off that they're not wearing their mask the whole time.
Sure. Well, there's always the two jerks, who are playing out the Muppet Show guys, right in front of you. So yeah.
I have nearly gotten into fights with those people before. Thing is, it's always really easy for me to win those kinds of fights because you get into it and the guys go, "Oh, you think you're a tough chick," and they want to step to you and they pull the whole like, "Better back down, little girl." And then I step up to them and they go, "Oh, maybe." Because the thing is, even before I knew Krav, it was like you would do that and guys would have this like, if she's not afraid of me, maybe she's crazy and I shouldn't fuck with her. Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, that's always those people that are underestimated. Like I said, I'm a short Pakistani guy. People often underestimate me, and then the moment they get the response, even when they see the beginning of the response, they back off real fast because they're like, "There's obviously I misjudged this situation for him to respond like this. There's something I don't understand here, and I don't want to find out."
Yeah, exactly. Better be safe than dead. Go big boar or go home. He says Cameron is the man. I too can take perspective based on my personal thoughts. Sometimes I go right, sometimes I go left. I can personally attest to that. Sean Firefire and I have had many political conversations, and we see eye to eye on pretty much everything. So
we have a reasoned perspective on why you believe certain things.
Yeah, and even where we split hairs, we can always have a measured discussion about it. He's a cool guy. I endorse him. You should check out his channel too. He's got really cool gun videos. Guns are cool. I like guns.
The thing is, most human beings, despite all their political and religious beliefs, have an intuitive sense of right and wrong conduct. Most human beings have that intuitive sense. And so we can find common ground very quickly on right and wrong. We'll use a lot of language to find nuances around it, but we all know right and wrong. Our hearts tell us.
Exactly. And that thing is, that's I always say, when you get right down to it, we all have more in common than we don't. Yeah. And it's just about realizing that and coming together on those things, and then realizing those things that make us different are fun and interesting. That's the spice of life. Speaking of the spice of life, Lando, sorry, I'm gonna have to move you. So you guys are sort of familiar with my character work. Most of you guys have seen Social Justice Jesse at some point.
Yes, I think I have. Yeah.
I like
I've seen mostly Enraged Jesse pulling out her hair and screaming. I've seen mostly that.
But I enjoy my character work. If you go back deep in the channel, you can find the happy German girl. She's a whole look. It's a fun time. But and then there's Yiddish Yeshaya, who's got a lot of opinions on things and is from Brooklyn, of course.
Yeah, as somebody that I would have known in my childhood.
Right, you would have definitely grown up with a Yiddish Yeshaya. Someone had the thing about Yeshaya, right? That's my actual Hebrew name. The funny thing about it, it's a boy's name. Go figure. The girl who always gets mistaken for a boy, her parents give her a boy's name. I guess
so your parents were ahead of this gender thing, a generation ahead of it.
Exactly. I've been gender neutral, gender crisscrossed wires since I was a little kid, and I didn't even know what it meant.
I remember early on in your channel, I think at some point you mentioned you were straight, or at least you were. Yeah, and people were like, what? I remember watching the chat. You were like, what?
Freaking out.
You like guys? What? So, and then you had some commentary about that, which amused me tremendously.
The funnest thing for me too is because all of the ladies are into me. Yeah. I love just teasing women. Like, I'm merciless with Mary. She's like, I fucking tear her. It's hilarious.
Well, it's all, like I said, every dude is into bisexual chicks. I think we're all comfortable with that.
I think most guys who are into women would agree. So the weird new character came up today while I was streaming on Live It in my remote office. Let's put it that way. So we have our home, we have the office, which is also where we shit. And then there's
shower.
And then there's the remote office, which is also my car. And just weird stuff started happening on there. And there's a new friend. So I was streaming on Live It, by the way. If you guys don't know that, it's this awesome place that I am right now, and you should all go there. Just type the name of the site because apparently that's enough for you to find it. Now I'll get it down here real quick.
Live It. Livid.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's cool. Let me post the link there because that's actually so. I'll take a moment before I show you guys. I'll take a moment. I'll get on my preachy horse for a minute. All right. My struggles with YouTube have been publicly chronicled for all to hear and see. I get dicked repeatedly. I get messages from followers constantly saying, hey, I've been unsubscribed from you twice this month alone. What gives? I watch your videos every time they come out. I never get notifications. Sometimes I go to your channel and they're not there. Sometimes I can't find you in the search. The like ratios that don't stack up with view counts, as in the likes are too many for the number of views there. I get that people really like my stuff, but when the ratio starts getting weird like that, it starts getting like, okay, well, are these really the correct number of views that are happening? And then my favorite too is, of course, the subs start rolling. They start rolling. I'll go like that, maybe 60, 70 plus, and then like a rubber band, it just snaps right back to where it was. So that's how YouTube's treated me for well over a year now. And actually it'll be like 2 in July. So I said fuck it, and I started exploring my avenues. And my theatrical agency out here, who you would enjoy, but things I'll tell you off air. Actually, things we should definitely talk about off air.
We'll talk about Hollywood like stuff and casting and whatever right off the air.
The insider stuff off air. But anyway, this streaming site Live It that I just posted for all you guys. It's a mobile-based app, but you can do it through your browser now. Although apparently, people are saying it works better if you sign up mobile and then watch online. But that's neither here nor there. Point is that my agency is the one that discovered it, and because all the contracted talent is represented on there. So she has a thing where like she has a liaison who's with Live It, but then she reps us on it, and so it was okay, cool, a contracted streaming platform, a site, something that vets its streamers. Okay, but it's new. Well, what's the deal? 17 Live, the company behind it, is a Japanese company that's been running successful streaming in Japan for a long time. Okay, there's some stuff behind it and tracking where it's been going, right? It started out with an Asian division and a US division. They have since merged. They keep expanding. It seems there's an office out here now. They seem to be in that like growing pains stage of going from like fun startup to real, new streaming platform. And I'm on it now. I'm on it 5 days a week. And guess what? The logic and math for the work you do, the engagement you get, the way that translates into your revenue is trans fucking parent.
Wow, that's great. Are you going to move the channel there, or just going to have an alternative version of the channel there?
Well, so I've been wanting to rebrand in some ways for a long time too, and it's giving me the opportunity to do that very seamlessly. Basically, this channel's identity is staying very much the same, and it's not going anywhere per se. This Tuesday show ain't going nowhere, and I'm gonna be throwing up videos. Probably James Baker's ready for the character. We'll go in just a moment. And I'll probably be throwing up videos, trying to do it every Thursday. And a lot of my movie-related content will say on here. I've had this wonderful relationship now with Richard Chu, who wants to come back and do more, do a live stream about the Oscars, about movies, and which, by the way, has been so fun for me because here's someone who's been working in cinema for over half a century and he's still excited by movies. And it's like, and
he sees you as his mini me. That's great.
It's so exciting. So it's like, that all has a home here on YouTube. And I don't give a fuck how many views it gets or if my subs go up or down or this or that, because I have awesome work to share with people. Those are incredible stories that I want people to have the opportunity to see. And so that's not going anywhere, but Live It. Fuck, I'm playing music for 3 hours straight on Mondays on Live It. I'm playing my guitar. My calluses have come back. I'm singing. My voice is getting so much better. I'm playing these characters. I'm getting to share more of me. So I'm sitting out there in my fucking car. The James Baker is one of my crew on Live It. He's Papa Baker over there. So, like mobs have like maybe they were the Don that retired, or like one of the inner circle guys that's kind of gotten older and sort of retired, and they're treated with like uber respect.
Emeritus, mob emeritus. Yeah.
That's Papa Baker. So, and then Sweet Pea's one of our, muscles. So we're just out in the car, and all of a sudden this character showed up out of the blue. And let's see. I might need a little more padding to do it now. I got this. So Hi, everybody. My name's Fat Sally. Let's see. Ha! I need the robe. I need the robe to get Fat Sally back. So Fat Sally I don't know where Fat Sally came from, but here we go. Let's see if we can find her again. Everybody, there we go. I'm here now. I just want everyone to see me. I truly am. I feel bad misrepresenting myself, but my name is Fat Sally, and I identify as chocolate cake. And I've been having this weird existential crisis lately. I was hoping to get some friendly advice from the chat. If I identify as chocolate cake and I still eat chocolate cake, does that make me a cannibal?
Yes.
Well, just don't tell Army Hammer then, okay?
You're too full of sugar for Army Hammer to want to eat.
That's just a fair point. So that's Fat Sally. I don't know where the fuck she came from, but she identified.
Well, you know, I that feels like better than a lot of stuff I've seen on SNL with impressions. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good.
So if you enjoy that and others, that's like, that's one of the days of Fridays with pull up characters, all the cats have voices and characters. So it's fun. It's like creating stuff. It's just having a good time, making you guys laugh, enjoying shit, fucking enjoying streaming again. Holy cow. Because that's the thing. Enjoying Live It means that it's opened me up and I'm not beating my head against the wall trying to make shit happen here. So I get to do things like, let me just plan my streams. What's cool? Fuck, I've never had Kamran on. Let me get him on. Every week this year has been an incredible show with awesome guests, awesome people, and I have had so much more fun because, well,
that's what will bring more viewers. I mean, when you're enjoying yourself and it's not a chore and it's not just something to make revenue, the revenue comes and the viewers come.
Exactly. Next thing, Iron Man says, so excited to see that Brother Kamran sent to appear here. I'll let you read that last part.
Alhamdulillah, which means praise be to God. Thank God. That's what it means.
Yay. Well, awesome. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man, for the awesome super chat.
Mexican Iron Man is a very gracious guy. I've been on a few channels when he's been around. He's wonderful.
He's a cool dude. I always love seeing him pop up in the chat. And just so much love for you tonight, which you totally
I'll take it. After being kicked off of Twitter, I was a little lonely because that was like in the world we're currently in, that was my social outlet, right? But it is what it is now. And now I'm actually getting more work done, which is not a bad thing.
Oh, so Jeff, you're gonna have to start writing a screenplay soon because if you want to be a legal resident of Los Angeles, you have to be writing a screenplay. That's a law, right?
Or you have to pitch someone in the industry. The elevator, and then that covers it.
Okay, that's fair. I guess you've actually had something pitched to you from the industry, so
that covers it too.
So
that means you can accept it.
I'm ahead of the curve.
So
you're trying.
You're safe.
I better get on that.
But I might have to pick your mine. I'm working on a screenplay, and it's set in 1930s Brooklyn, actually. So
well, then I got a lot to say about that. So like a tree grows in Brooklyn time period kind of thing.
It's
because that book is like from that period, I think.
Yeah, so it covers because it'll montage its way through the beginning, but the crux of it's going to be 38. I think will be the crux of the action. So kind of the early rise of the German American Bund movement. Finagling dates a little. It might be a little late. I might go into the early 40s. I'm going to finagle dates a little bit because I got to finagle history a little bit to make everything work out perfectly. Essentially, it's the story of a young German boy who flees Bavaria, who's sent by his parents from Bavaria to New York to find a better life, is met with loneliness and prejudice on the streets of New York, and gets swept up by Murder Inc. and becomes a hitman. That's how he finds his power and all the complication that deals with that.
It's like a Godfather story.
It's very Godfather. It's very, but it's also, it's the Jewish element is very prevalent because a lot of the Italian side has been told time and time, and really what spoke to my imagination was going to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, which when I went there, we kind of thought it was gonna be this kitschy, touristy kind of museum. Yeah. It was so fucking legit.
There's a lot of incredible history behind it. Yeah.
Oh my God, they got a piece of the wall from the Valentine's Day massacre in there. They got Al Capone's guns. That place is.
Wow. That's a joke there. So yeah, I mean that's something in the industry is uncomfortable talking about, but they're there
Well,
was a substantial Jewish community that had to survive through organized crime in that time period. That's history.
And that's what was so cool, though, was people have these impressions. Like one of the most famous mobsters of the time was Meyer Lansky, whose nickname was the Accountant. So he gets misrepresented as, a bookkeeper kind of guy. Lansky was one of the fucking bosses. He was one of the roughest
business.
The Accountant was an ironic nickname. It was like, he settled his accounts. That was why he was the Accountant. And yes, the Jewish joke is part of it too. But that was the whole,
But that was it. It's a reflection of America, which is you come here as an immigrant, you get your ass kicked, you get options limited, and you get door slammed in your face. And some people decide, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to break the rules because the rules aren't working for me. That's the American experience.
Exactly. And it was so striking to me that for all the stereotypes we live with of Jewish men, and a lot of them, they all come from somewhere. I don't have problems with Jewish stereotypes. I think they're fucking hilarious. But the reality is the impression of Jewish men is as being effeminate, weak, whatever, not tough, manly, strong, and all that.
One of the kids I went to high school owned that stereotype.
Exactly. Like even my dad, who is not dweeby in the slightest bit, and is, works out of the gym and is toned and all that stuff. He's not physically imposing, he's not a physically imposing man. And so there was something that captured my imagination about realizing that there was a time when, Jews were the muscle. You dig into, yes, Lansky was the one who fixed the World Series. Yeah. So you dig into the history there, and fucking Abe Kid Twist Rellis was the most brutal hitman in Murder Inc. He goes down as the canary who could sing but couldn't fly because he flipped on the mob. Turns out this fucking guy had this photographic memory and was telling them, the fucking breakfast he ate this day 5 years ago before he whacked so-and-so and what color shirt he was wearing. And that's the book that I was, read as a lot of my inspiration for the screen. It's like, I've been writing all my life. The second I learned what writing was, I started writing novels. When I was 8 years old, I wrote chapter books I couldn't finish for school. And this is the first time in my life I got excited to do research for my writing.
Yeah, so it's inspired. You feel like I know that feeling, and whenever I've had that feeling, something really good comes out of it.
Yes.
So if you're feeling this, then you've got to get this script done, and I'm happy to look at it when you're done and give you like a friend's advice. But if you throw your heart into it, something's going to come out of it.
I fucking hope so, because I'm really excited for it. But I do need New Yorkers, like people who have.
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. I know that world, right? And look, even in the Brooklyn I grew up with, the Hasidim are not as pure as they like to present. They've got their diamond smuggling business and other shady stuff going on. That's still going on today, right? And they've set up the system so nobody looks at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's one of the most dangerous neighborhoods out here is just south of Beverly Hills in the Flats, where the Hasidic neighborhood where they're moving the diamonds. I had a friend who lived in there when she first came out to LA, and I stayed with her for a few months when I first came out. And there was sirens, there was shit going on. You'd hear this, someone got killed down the street all the fucking time. That's literally blocks away from Beverly Hills, where like you go a mile up the road and there was no crime anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Because a lot of these communities are descended from Eastern Europe, which experienced a historical thing of ghettoization. And in any ghetto environment, you have mobsters rise to control a ghetto. That's in any culture. Whenever you have a community said you all got to live in this area like a prison, it's like a prison, and prison bosses rise. That's the history of it.
Exactly. That's how yeah.
It's human nature. It's human nature. That's what people do in organized situations.
Exactly. And yes.
Whatever. I'm excited for you to get the script done, because idea means nothing. Everyone's got an idea. Get the script, get 110, 120 pages, right? And then just let me know, and I'll see what advice I can give you. Because the problem you're going to face is this, and it doesn't mean you can't overcome. I've overcome lots of problems, but I always lay out the problem. The industry has all kinds of politically correct sacred cow stuff when you talk about Jewish history, particularly from the 30s and 40s, as Gina was pulled into without realizing it, right? So the industry is very nervous about talking about the Jewish gangster experience. Although I think Scorsese kind of touched on it in that series he did, right? And so be aware that the story is worthy of being told, and it's an important story with very important lessons, right? But there's, again, people have their pathologies in this town, right? And so whatever.
Yeah. Now I do come from the, lens of being a Jewish person too, which
gives you a little bit of cover, but it's still, you got to get a whole system to want to make it.
Oh yeah, and you got to get
It can be done. Everything can be done, but you have to be aware of it so you can pitch and careen around the obstacle. I say, this is the thing. How do you get around it?
Exactly. And that's sort of, I think, a big part of it too. And I think, honestly, that's why I believe in this story and believe that it will get there too, is because when was the last fucking time a Jewish person had the opportunity to speak deeply on the Jewish experience? Like in public,
in a truly human way, which includes the dark side of the human condition, right?
Exactly. And when it's happened, and the last time it happened on a grand scale were Holocaust survivors who wrote some of the deepest, most meaningful, game-changing existential pieces that came from that.
Like Viktor Frankl, yeah.
Of course, of course, the number one that person that comes to mind. But even reading Elie Wiesel's Night, it was one of the first times in school I didn't hate an assigned book. Another one that just came across as a random, like Kindle was doing like free book of the month for a while. It was this incredible novel about a man older couple who got duped by a moving company. What were the classic scam where like they claimed to be the moving company and stole all their stuff and all this shit. And he went to get it. They were on this quest to try to get it back and catch these guys. Mm-hmm. And it seemed really on the nose at first, but the part that was woven in was that this man was a Holocaust survivor, and that this stuff represented the life he had built. Some of them were things he had been able to, salvage and take with him from the old world. It's very few precious things. And much of it was just all reflective of the life he was able to build for himself when he got out, and how much those things meant. And a really actually fucked up, twisted ending. But it was like, you can't, that's something people miss today in storytelling. You can't tell the dark side of things because you can't tell the good story without telling the dark side, but you're not allowed to tell the dark side because people aren't willing to face it or embrace it.
I mean, the last time, again, he could do it. Steven Spielberg did that in Munich, right? Okay. And, because the story goes, it seems like a simple story, a guy avenging the killing of these athletes, right? And then it goes into a place where they all start doing really bad things and start being morally torn by what they're doing. And eventually they end up blowing themselves up and being torn by their actions. And, that's a really profound film because it ultimately is about, does revenge lead to anything? Or do you just become that you're fighting? And then where are you? Right.
The funny thing is that's a very subtly Jewish commentary on that entire event, because it's for those very familiar with history, there's a harrowing documentary that has footage from the actual incident, and it goes through the history of which essentially, the Israelis wanted to send a Mossad. They wanted to take care of it themselves, and it was such a matter of German pride that they were going to handle it after what had happened with Hitler the last time.
And they screwed it up real bad, yeah.
And they exactly, it was, they completely botched it, and no lives may have been lost otherwise. And so it's kind of funny. It's like, well, to then, it's really becomes a subtle commentary at the utter failure of the entire thing, but shown in a different way, in a way that, Yeah,
I mean, there's that great moment at the end where the lead Mossad assassin guy finally confronts his handler, and he's like, he basically says, "Can we end this, and you just want to come to my home?" And the guy won't come to his house, which is a rejection of his sort of now more pacifistic philosophy. I will, for a Jew to invite another Jew in their home and they won't come in, I think that's very meaningful, right? It says something. It says about these two different worldviews, right? And I mean, but that's what was that? That was like 20 years ago. I mean, we haven't. That was a little bit after 9/11, right? Maybe so. It's been a while. So yeah.
Yeah. So, no, it was sort of in the. It goes to the end of that patriotism phase, it was sort of able to slide in on that, like, oh, well, this is patriotic. It's not American, but it's very patriotic. So here,
but the final scene of that is actually the Twin Towers. As the two guys walk away, right? The final scene is Spielberg just turns, and the last thing you see is the Twin Towers, which is the point is that revenge is the cycle, because who are the guys behind the Twin Towers? These were guys that were from the Taliban, who the Taliban, the Mujahideen, trained by the CIA, right? I mean, Osama bin Laden was a CIA trained guy, right? I mean, so this is a cycle, and at least
exactly. No, exactly, and you're right. And it's been a long time since anyone's had the courage to tackle those something that dark on that, when it comes to my people. And there's been a lot of other things. There's a lot of talk about, representing Jewish people here and representing Jewish people there. And I'm like, you know what? Well, it's high time a Jewish person represents Jewish people as we are. And that's my.
I was wondering about that. For some reason, it came to my mind probably a while ago. Why hasn't there been a good movie about the Jewish experience in Murder Inc.? Because it's a major part of the history. And you've just answered that question. I think someone like you has to write it.
There you go. And that's I mean, it really because that's what it is. There's no bullshit. There's no pandering. There's no anything about it. There's an honest experience that I had connecting with the history of my people and what that meant. And that's something experiencing writing this is that there's a lot of the common writing struggles I had before. Screenplays, script writing has always terrified me because I don't always handle the word balance well. I don't always get the tones right for my dialogue and stuff like that. And this is something that's been it feels familiar while I'm writing it.
So it feels natural as the characters are speaking. That's the way you know if the dialogue's working. The characters if it feels natural, it feels. You just have to read it aloud to yourself. Is this something you see in a movie? And it sounds right. And that always happens when your heart is aligned to it.
Yeah, and it's just it's so fun.
So there were a couple of super chats that flew by. I think Jillian and a couple.
Let me grab them. They're right here. They're right here. We got Jillian N, who says, "Hail Jesse and Cameron. Is it possible that Woody Allen made it cool to be an effete, nebbish Jewish guy? It didn't start with him. It really didn't. He definitely popularized
the idea. I will say this. It's an interesting thing. Have you ever read the book An Empire of Their Own, which is a history of the Jewish experience in Hollywood, right? Essentially founding Hollywood, right? It's written by a Jewish scholar, An Empire of Their Own. And it talks about the different stages of Jewish identity within Hollywood because the community was not totally, but largely founded by essentially Jewish shoe salesmen from Brooklyn who showed up here, right? In the 1910s, right? And built the industry. And those guys initially, they were actually very Jewish in their private lives and publicly had no interest in associating with it, right? Mm-hmm. And they just wanted to make movies for the Christian middle America. That's why they're making lots of Jesus movies, right? And from the very beginning, from the silent films, let's do that. And because they knew what the market was. And there's an interesting chapter in there how in the 1930s and the 40s, the early Zionist movement in Europe and from British Palestine was coming to raise funds in LA. And all the moguls, like we're talking about Warner and all these guys, kicked them out of town. They said, we don't want you here. We don't want any hassle with the Middle East. We want to make money in this country, and we don't want you creating any fucking drama for us. Well, this was shut down the Zionist movement in LA, and that was that generation. Then
this is classic Judaism too. It's like the Jews, like, we want to live and let live. We just want to live and let live. Someone wants, like, the crazy one, like, stop fucking up our shit. We got it nice here.
Yeah, that's exactly a natural part of the
we are, as long as
real well
killing us. That's all.
So the interesting thing is the book didn't talk about in the 70s, things changed because basically that generation dies out in the 60s, right? The founding generation is all gone. And then you got this large corporate structure coming in and new kind of independent filmmaking. So that's the world that Woody Allen comes out of, right, at that time. And so I do think there is suddenly in the next generation of power players, there was more comfort with allowing a Jewish face to be publicly seen by the white people that they were trying to sell movies to. That was a cultural shift from the original moguls.
And Woody Allen also, I mean, it's an anomaly really in that he just had the right things at the right time. He kind of slid in right after right after sort of the advent of the blockbuster almost, in which producers were feeling really comfortable taking risks on these artistic new filmmakers because they were panning out. They were paying out big bucks. And so he was an anomaly that as a very young filmmaker, he was essentially given a carte blanche by the studios, which allowed him to push that vision really, really strongly. And it solidifies a certain idea. It becomes this, and because the industry decides it's ready for it, it decides to push it. That's why Annie Hall ends up with the Oscar and all this shit. This is now, it's not so much that it's Woody Allen who brings this stereotype that no one's ever done before. It's that Woody Allen does it at a time when the industry decides to get behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And actually glorifies it, right? Yeah. Rather than it's the side minstrel character, right?
Exactly. Which is good and bad. The thing is, you got to take your good with your bad. You know, another great example is a movie like Rain Man, which is like people want to shit on, oh, it's a very stereotypical portrayal of this type of person and blah. Yeah, but the reality is, without this movie, autism awareness in this country is way the fuck down. So it's people don't do that anymore. It's all absolutism. People don't know how to take the good with the bad. So.
Yeah, well, and they don't understand historical processes. I'm a big fan of the film as a work of cinema, Gone with the Wind. The book is even better, right? But I can absolutely see why people criticize Gone with the Wind from 21st century values, right? At the same time, you have to look at what a historical jump that movie was, because, you've got Hattie McDaniel winning the Oscar as a Black woman for the first time, and she wasn't allowed to sit with Vivian Leigh by the hotel. She had to sit with the Black people table during the Oscar ceremony, right? That's the world she was in. And nonetheless, the producer, Selznick, whatever, pushed for her to get that Oscar. So yeah, you can criticize the portrayal of slavery and all of that in there. Recognize where these people were in 1938 and how far they pushed the narrative from there to where we are today. And they were trying to make the world a better place. They weren't trying to say, let's make slavery a good thing. That's what they weren't trying to say that. They're trying to push people forward, and they did.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. Everyone wants to bitch on social media. It's so hard to change anyone's mind to make them see how stupid and ignorant and this and that. Man, like, bitch, you think it's hard now? And you're shitting on people who didn't do enough back then, when not doing enough meant actually doing things physically in the world that had never been done before when it came to progress and racial equality. But yeah, no, that wasn't enough. They weren't woke enough. Bitch, you ain't done shit. Typing on your fucking keyboard is not fucking social justice.
Or calling Bill Burr's wife racist names. I found the woke to be the most racist. Again, they're hiding their past. They're not honest about who they are. So then the past slips out in moments, like Bill Burr making a comment and his wife suddenly becomes a slave to them.
Yes, I'll read the super chat and hit on that, because fucking I reversed my way into that story, which was weird and even more jarring. Echo Base Network, thank you for the super chats. It's good to see Kamran on here. Also glad to see no other guests fighting on here, that he has to step in and break up. Whoa.
I don't know if you know what incident. I was on a stream with Jeremy and another gentleman, and they just started going off at each other for about 10 minutes while there were 4 people on the stream. We're just sitting there like, they were arguing about some video game, and they were getting angry and heated, and their faces were red and sweat was pouring. And finally I said, hey guys, there's like 4 other people in this chat. Can you just stop? We're not interested in your personal conflict. And they were like, oh, we're at live? You're like, yeah, you're live. You've been doing this for 10 minutes.
Jeremy's been doing that
I
since
love him. But I was like, stop.
I love how he can't change. It's like, no matter what. I was telling him when he was like hitting his first 100,000 subscribers, I'm like, Jeremy, you got to cool it with the Twitter fights. You got to cool it with the getting these spats with these like 3 subscriber channels and shit. Like, you're this now. You got to stop fighting with all the little minnows in the pond. You got to worry about sharks now. And he's and fucking can't tell him shit. He's just
he's on his own path. God bless him.
He's the one. Like, my mama used to tell me, pick your battles, and I would say, why? I have the energy to fight all my battles. And then I grew up and became an adult, and I was like, I fucking don't. Jeremy was like, I just naturally have all of the energy for everything. Your hate gives me fuel, and I will fight all the battles. And I'm like, I don't know when you sleep, bro. But it is.
All I say is, don't do it on a live stream. Man.
Yes,
because I finally said I said to them, this is actually rude. There's other people here. We can't get in a word edgewise, and none of us know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Shut the fuck. I'm glad someone was there to shut him up.
I love him. Jeremy's the one that got me on YouTube, because my very first YouTube thing was him, and then it blew up because I revealed some stuff that people had told me that are in Jon Favreau's camp, and they're like, the Favreau hates The Last Jedi, and I guess no one knew that. But I was like, my friends who are like work on his crew told me that. They're like, man, he hates that movie. He talked to them. He talked right after the movie. He called up Disney and said, what are you guys doing? Let me help you with this. And apparently that was news, and that exploded.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that at all. Actually, mom from the fencing world, her brother is a tactical advisor he was a tactical advisor for some of the episodes, for some of the stunts in some of the episodes. And it's cool. I've gotten a few interesting things from him. He's done some cool stunt work. He was I think he was a vet who just like a friend got him some gigs, and now he just does stunt stuff, which is awesome. I would love to do stunt shit, even though it's tough and all that.
I so much respect for stunt people. Oh my God.
Nothing but that's one of the reasons.
Crazy.
One of the many reasons why I will always love the movie Sing It in the Rain is because the entire opening of that movie is an homage to stuntmen.
Yeah.
Freaking great. As
Remember the Fall Guy? Were you too young for the Fall Guy? Because you're on the edge of Generation X. You're not quite Generation. I think you are a millennial.
I'm technically a millennial, though I have more in common with Gen X. So I've seen a lot of
spiritually you're Generation X. But yeah, the Fall Guy was this like, this stuntman who's a bounty hunter, very 80s TV show. So like half the show would be him doing crazy stunts, and it was Lee Majors, like the $6 million man, right? And then the other half of the show would be like he'd be capturing bad guys for a bounty, and then go back to jumping out of airplanes for a movie. And that was the show. It was pretty crazy.
Dude, that's awesome. That sounds
it's very 80s. It's like it makes no sense whatsoever that the stuntman is also a bounty hunter. It makes no sense, but you just go with it, right? And it's like, yeah,
that was all my novels that I would write, though. I'd be like, high schooler, also a spy. I was so mad when fucking Agent Cody Banks came out, when that fucking movie came out with Frankie Muniz and shit, because I was writing that, but cooler at the same exact fucking time. And I was like, well, fuck this novel. Stupid kids movie just ruined that shit.
Well, I was working with the writers of that movie when it came out on the Twilight Zone. That was my very first job on the Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zone. And they were writers on the show with us, and we remain friends now. And yeah, that was their big break. They wrote that movie.
Nice. I love it. Oh my God. This is so funny. I just pulled up the note that I needed for the next thing. Yeah. I have a random note about my screenplay on this random note. I'm like, oh, that's random. Okay, cool. Anyway, the reason I brought this up is I'm going to give you the option. You don't have to. This is not, we're not going to kill you if you say no, but I would like you to give you the option to undergo the Mindless Entertainment initiation ritual if you would like to become a certified member of the Mindless Mob.
Well, do I keep my clothes on during this ritual?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Now they will get my channel axed.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, I'm game until I'm not game. So let's see where it goes.
Well, there you go. So all you have to do is repeat after me for this simple phrase. Do the salute and then answer 3 questions.
What's the salute?
You just stick your tongue up your nose like the cow does on the one in my icon. You got to try. You don't have to. Right, so you just don't worry about it. All right. Whatever. So repeat after me.
All right.
In the name of the GodEmpress.
In the name of the GodEmpress.
I heretofore pledge my sword to the mindless mob.
I heretofore pledge my sword to the mindless mob.
And salute the mighty bovine.
And salute the mighty bovine. And now I put my tongue out. Okay.
There you go.
Are you going to clip this and use this for the next 10 years?
No. That's only I only save when people actually sign their soul over to me, which they've done before. It's weird. I had a thing when I was a teenager. I would write these little soul contracts, and I got like 50 people to sign their soul over to me.
My God, you're fulfilling an evil stereotype that goes back to Shylock. You realize that?
I am the worst.
That's very Shakespearean. The Jewish woman with the blood contract, soul contract. That's very Shakespearean.
That is also, that is the play that invented my name. So to be fair, it's the conniving evil bitch Jewish daughter is Jessica. So there you go. So now you have to answer the following questions, and if you fail or refuse to answer any of them, or if you answer the last one wrong, then you just have to make an orgasm noise for us because it's the law. So
okay, unless my mom walks past.
That would mom's exempt.
Mom, that's we're gonna hold on that one. All right.
Yeah, moms. Obviously, we can't. Moms are precious. Moms are sacred. We can't scandalize moms. Yeah. All right. So, what is your worst or most embarrassing romantic or sexual encounter?
I will tell it to you. It was more failed romance. I will leave the sexuality stuff to between me and the person, but the failed romance moment, or at least a failed effort to do it, was a very well-known actress was sitting in the Earth Cafe in Melrose. You probably know the Earth Cafe, right?
Yeah.
And she was sitting there. I don't want to necessarily reveal her name, but she's a very well-known actress. And she was on my list of, oh my God, people I'd love to sleep with, right? And I'd actually never been in the room with anyone from that list at that point in my life, right? So she was sitting there. Okay, I'll reveal who it was because what the hell, why not? Minka Kelly. You know Minka Kelly? Yes, quite lovely. And so I had a big crush on her from her when she was like doing the, football cheerleading, whatever thing. And then she went up to Charlie's Angels. But Minka Kelly was sitting in the Earth Cafe with like some friend and chatting. And I finally was like, I just got to do this. I got to get up and do this. So I went up to her and I went up and I apologized, I interrupted her. I said, just want to let you know, I really love your work. And, I also work in the industry. I work in Hollywood too, right? I work as a producer. And I started chatting with her and tried to get her number, at which point her face changed. And she basically put her hand on my arm and said, okay, that's enough. Now you can go. And pushed me aside in front of everyone at Earth Cafe, at which point I said, well, thank you for your time and good luck. And I went back to my table where several male friends were like, did you just do that? Right. So yeah, I flamed out with Minka Kelly in public, but I think I earned some ballsy points for that.
Dude, look, if
I blew it on a massive scale. If I had some game, I could have survived it. I blew it completely.
Dude, if you gotta fail big, fail hard. That's fucking epic as shit.
She's quite lovely. I'm sure she's forgotten, but I'm sure jerk-offs do that to her every day, so whatever.
That's right. I asked Adam Baldwin to sign my tits, and he said he didn't sign skin, but he thought it was hilarious, so.
Okay, well, all right. Well, it feels like that would be a douchey thing he would say.
But the thing is, he was actually super cool to me. The very first thing he said was, hello, gorgeous. And at the time, I was 20 years old and felt incredibly insecure about my appearance. And him doing that, and then it was, the autograph, and then I waited in line for the picture later. Mm-hmm. And when he saw me again, he said, oh, well, hey, gorgeous. And I was like, not only did he remember me, but his pet name for me is the Gorgeous.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
It was really sweet. And he was teased me too, because when I came and he told the photographer, he's like, this lady asked me to sign a very special body part. And when he remembered. He was really sweet about it too. And the cool thing is I went home that day and I went, Adam Baldwin called me gorgeous. Adam Baldwin just called me gorgeous.
I guess Minka Kelly did touch me, so I had physical contact.
Because my whole thing was, until somebody more famous says otherwise, I guess.
That's a pretty good phrase.
It really was the beginning of the end of the end of my self-esteem issues about my appearance. So it was pretty fucking, it was cool.
That's what LA does to us. You're an extremely attractive woman, and the fact that you would have self-esteem issues that's what LA does to us.
Bro, that was well before. Here's the funny part. Here's the hilarious part, actually. I'm reverse. I'm total reverse of that, because I grew up the ugly duckling. I grew up in if you can think of a place more cutthroat than LA, that's the main line. That's where I grew up. So the movie Mean Girls, right?
Yeah.
So it's even though it's set in Illinois, it's based around her actual upbringing, or it's shot in Illinois, or wherever it was shot. It's based on her actual high school, which is Upper Darby, which is down the street from Harridan, where I went to high school.
So you went with that kind of crowd. Okay.
I was Janice Ian. To a T, down to the rumors about me being a lesbian and shit. Yeah. Minus the having been best friends with the now popular girl. All my friends were all losers like me.
Yeah. This is the normal way that story goes.
Exactly. And that was that. So I grew up with that, with those heavy insecurities heaped upon me, because I went to school every day being told, you're ugly, you look like a guy, you're gay, you're this, you're that, whatever, blah. Damien Donaldson, Adam Baldwin, not Alec. Way cuter though. Less famous, but way cuter. Okay. But I have also met Daniel Baldwin, who's actually is a Baldwin brother. I have a picture of him with him on my Instagram. It was fun. It was a crossbreed premiere, great weird indie sci-fi movie. But anyway, but yeah, no. So the crazy part was, it was that when I'm 20 in college in Bennington, where that happened. It was over a summer back in Philly, and I'm up in college in Vermont. And for the first time since I cut my hair short, my hair's always been, it's never been past my shoulders. But for the first time since I had cut it like really, really short, I stopped wearing makeup. I'd always wore eyeliner and mascara at that point, because I thought I would look like a boy if I didn't. And I stopped. I'm like fucking riding horses every day. I'm in farm country. Who gives a shit? And nothing. I at that point didn't even know how to do foundation or any of that stuff. I only knew how to do eyeliner, like basic eyeliner and mascara. When I realized that, I'm moving out to LA to be an actor, I had to teach myself to do all that shit. But it coincided with the time in my life that I had felt the best about all those things, my appearance and this and that. So I moved out here, and it was every friend. Oh my God, doesn't it just wear on you? All the beautiful people, all of this, all of that. And it can, but I wake up every day. And when I walk outside, I feel better about myself when I walk outside without makeup than when I walk outside with makeup, because I know that I'm the only goddamn person on my street. I'm the only woman on my street with the courage to do that. And that's balls that none of them fucking have.
The reason you have so many fans, and I'm sure one of the many reasons that Jeff was drawn to, is that you have a very clear light of authenticity that shines from you. Like, especially in this city where everyone is a fraud, people are drawn like, to as magnets to people that are authentic and real and like themselves. I actually remember I was at a party. A friend took me to the party of the most famous plastic surgeon in LA, a dude who actually, he's like the plastic surgeon czars, and he was marketed as that. And I went there to this party in Beverly Hills, and I felt really like, what the hell am I doing here? Because they were all his like clients. They were all these model automatons, right? And I was just being my normal self, and I was chatting up everyone and laughing and telling stories. And finally, one dude, one sort of male model dude, who's been looking at me the whole time, comes up to me, and he literally says this to me. He says, "Wow, you really like yourself." Direct quote. He couldn't believe it. He's like, why would you, little Pakistani guy, bald Pakistani guy, right, 5'4", walking around all these supermodels who've been plastically enhanced, be full of happy energy? He couldn't understand it, and it really shook him up.
It's so funny. It's it's like such a model story.
But that's very LA. That's 100% accurate version of events. It's
my very first Halloween.
He said those words.
My very first Halloween was a model party. A friend had formerly been a runway model, and I went to a model party down at Venice Beach, and I ended up spending the night fucking chatting up, just getting drunk and chatting up this guy who was a producer, something or other. Yeah. But his friend had been one of the guys who he owned one of the movie DeLoreans from Back to the Future. Wow. And at the time I'm talking to this guy, he had one parked in his garage, which was like, yeah, I'm like the neighbor. I'm down the street. And I'm like, so I was this fucking close to one, this fucking close. And so he's chatting me up, and he's opening up to me because we're drunk about like basically he's hitting on me and opening up about his marriage that's on the rocks and shit.
Here we go.
And very typical, just what you'd expect in LA.
Very LA, we're not really together. Yeah.
So my drunk ass, though, this is the best thing, which of course ruins any chance of me ever speaking to this guy again, but was 100% worse that as he's leaving the party and we're all waving, bye, Jay, bye. I go, bye, good luck with your failing marriage.
Oh,
that punchline landed for everyone but him.
Good thing is he's drunk. He won't remember it the next day.
That the thing is that if I hadn't realized then, that's the moment I should have known that I was ready to become a stand-up comedian, because anything for the joke, anything for the punchline. Cute Hollywood type that could show me the fucking DeLorean and have this crazy
you blow it to make a laugh and whatever.
Nope. Make the room laugh. Way more important. Way more fucking important.
It is what it is, but he probably deserved it, because let's be honest here. Any asshole who's like going to one of these parties and says, it's not working out with me and my wife. I mean, that's as shitty a move as my, hey Minka, I'm a producer. That's a shitty and dumb a move as that.
Those fencing referees, man, I hate to say it. Fencing referees have like the lowest fidelity rating of any human beings ever. Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I hear, hear the chick they're sleeping with come back and tell me how awful his relationship with his wife is and this and that and the other.
Fencing dudes are getting laid. What the hell, man? The fencing referees are getting laid. Whatever.
Fencing referees are the fucking crazy. There's one who he is not attractive. His body is not good. And he's like getting it on with the fencing moms. He had one of one of the crazy fencing moms that almost blew up in his face and almost ruined his fucking marriage. He is married to the biggest fucking saint. She is the most wonderful woman ever. And I'm like, why would you jeopardize this? Also, how are you convincing people to sleep with you? I have never been
power. A referee has power. Power, sex equals power. You know that.
There's no power. We're fencing referees. We get paid garbage.
You're making a judgment. There's power in that. Judges get laid.
Stupid. That just shows you how stupid people are. Honestly, that's why I got sucked into wanting to referee, though. It seems so cool to be the referees, the guys with the power and the penalty cards and all this shit. What did I get? I got a fucking decade of emotional abuse. Thanks a lot.
We human beings are very silly, and the way you understand how silly we are is go back and read the Prince by Machiavelli, because he pretty much explains human nature perfectly. He explains that basically it would be nice if you could rule people by being nice to them, but people are morons. People are morons, and this is what you have to do, because they're basically just one step away from animals, and you have to use fear, manipulation, and lies, because that's the only way you can get these people to get anything done. And if you left them alone, they'd kill each other. So do this.
Yeah,
it's really a very compassionate view of the human condition.
It really is. It honestly is. I always say that the most stringent, the systems that seem the most selfish would actually work if human altruism were a thing. And the reason why so many of our systems, like capital, like the hardcore individualistic version of capitalism, is like, dude, with human altruism, capitalism works, no problem, no hitches, no problem whatsoever. Because the whole idea that the people making more put it back into the economy fucking functions, instead of the people going, oh, I have more than I will ever need. Let me not only work at consolidating that, but try to figure out how to screw literally everyone else out of having even half of what I have for no reason.
But you know, Andrew Carnegie, he wrote The Gospel of Wealth in the 1890s for exactly that point, which is that the only way capitalism can survive is if people like me, who are billionaires in the 1890s, right, reinvest our entire earnings back into community development. Otherwise, this thing is going to collapse and we're all going to become communists and everyone's going to lose, right? And at the time, Rockefeller and all these other guys said, hey, man, shut up. At the time, he was this like crazy wacko. He's like, look, this thing's going to blow up in our faces. Do you want this to be a communist country? Because America's become communist if we don't figure this out, right? And they're all like, shut up. We don't need to hear you telling us about reinvesting our money in the poor and blah, blah, and building libraries and stuff, whatever. They didn't want to hear it.
Nope. But hey, that's history. You look at history. Don't take my word for it. Just read history. It's all there. It's right there for those who want to do it. But no, we want to burn history books instead and cancel history class. That'd be way more fun.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen is, and we're already seeing the beginnings of it, is that the more we forget history, the more we are not just repeating it, we are accelerating the return to those horrible moments. Right, we're accelerating a rapid return to those moments because we have no foundational basis of wisdom to handle situations now.
Damn straight. I never finished your initiation. Goddamn,
you're just more stuff. This better not. My Minka Kelly story better not have to get worse than that. So that's pretty embarrassing. Whatever. Although people in the chat seem to be impressed by it. Whatever. I still feel horrific pain at the memory of that.
I hear you, dude. I hear you.
I blew that wad so hard, and whatever.
Things you'll never get back, man. But you know what? This question, no pressure or anything, but so far everyone else who's answered this question ends up like in tears. So just no pressure.
Okay, well, I'm already in tears remembering Minka, but go on.
There you go. What's something in your life that you've always felt underappreciated for?
Underappreciated for? That's a very interesting question. I think most people have to take a moment to think that out, right? So I think that, and that's actually linked to the Minka thing, right? I used to be an incredibly romantic person. After 20 years in Los Angeles, after decades, I'm a single dude. After 2 decades of dating in this town, that romantic instinct is largely suppressed, right? Because this town is ruthless and merciless towards that. And it's funny. A friend of mine who I went to law school with, she started like a blog, and she's writing about love and relationships. And she sent me an email saying, "You were the most romantic guy I remember in school, back in law school. Like, could you please write like a weekly column on how to be a romantic guy?" And I was like, I don't even remember how to do it anymore, right? Oh, because all that's been beaten out of me in this town, and yet it's still there, right? It's still there. The desire to go back to sort of singing in the rain type romance, right?
Exactly.
The effusive gesture, the majesty of, but you have, it's a dance. The other person has to dance with you. The other person has to dance with you. And if the other person is like, oh, what is this? You must be weak if you're doing this gesture. You must be desperate. Then that takes away the dance. And you're like, all right, well, if you think I'm weak,
and you're less hesitant
to stop doing that. And I want you to see me as a man. And that's forced me to become more of an asshole in my interactions. And I'd rather be that person. LA doesn't foster that. So I think I definitely feel underappreciated for that here, because that's not something this system, the social system here, supports.
Which is bullshit, because it's
it's true, right?
It's
100% Jeff's a bit of a romantic person. Am I right?
Oh, Jeff is super romantic. Jeff is like deeply romantic.
Yeah, he just had that vibe. Yeah. He's like thoughtful and thinks out nice things to do. I used to be that guy. Whatever.
You will be when you find the right one.
Maybe Minka and I still got a shot. Whatever.
You never know. It's been a while.
She won't remember. After 20, it was probably like 10 years ago when I did that. She won't remember. I remember.
The crazy thing with it too is like all I hear from women is them bitching about, I can't find a nice guy. I can't find a guy who treats me right. I can't find this and that. It's like, well, you guys are the ones who keep going after the assholes.
Well, when you see that's not working. Oh, that dude over there, that douchebag's, that's working. I'm going to go do that.
Exactly.
That's getting the results. Okay, I'm going to go do that.
Exactly. We have eyes. We ain't retarded. You guys see what's up. All right. One more question. We'll read the super chat first. Just Nova says, hey, JJ and K, finally some love for Jeff. Thank you.
Yes,
Lee Majors was the man. Love the Fall Guy. Got to check it out now. Does sound like fun.
It's a really fun show.
So thank you so much, Just Nova, for the super chat. And I'm in a Dead After Dark. Thank you for the super sticker.
Oh,
What do we got from Tom?
I'm coming on to those guys tomorrow morning. They make me wake up at 9 a.m. I am not a 9 a.m. person. I write till 3 a.m. and I sleep till 11. That's my actual schedule. For these clowns, for my Midnight's Edge clown friends, I wake up at 9 a.m. every few weeks to get on their show.
Well, you know what? Tom is on everyone else's stream forever, so everyone else can do a little bit for him sometimes.
That's fair enough. He's a good guy.
Although
don't get between him and Mary's boyfriend. That doesn't work out always well.
Fair enough. Tom sent us a "Hey you" pair. And he says you can use my new pickup line, Cameron. Everything I wear looks like shit on me, but baby, I look good on you.
You know, that kind of shit would have worked in the early 80s.
That's true.
Yeah, early 80s was bad pickup line central.
We did that on Shenanigans last time I was on with the chicks and I. We went through everyone's best pickup lines and decided if that would get them a date or not. That was a fun time. All right, so last
one said to me the best pickup line is "My name is Justin Bieber," and that actually being true, and that kind of works. You know, I despise Mr. Bieber. I don't know him. I don't like his music. I despise the fact that he's had sex with 7,000 women, and yet nonetheless, he just has to say, "My name is Justin Bieber," and it works.
I've always personally been partial to "Hey Nice Shoes, Wanna Fuck," but the classics, the classics. All right, so this last question, here's the thing.
Yes, last question
is like the spelling of the word Hanukkah.
Yes.
There are many right ways to answer this question.
Okay.
But there are also some distinctly wrong ones. Bird, for example, B-I-R-D is an incorrect way to spell Hanukkah. So the question is, if you had to kill any member of the mindless mob, so that could be anybody you know that is a fan of the channel, a follower of the channel, a friend of mine, etc., who would it be and why?
Well, that's a pretty. Otherwise, I have to make an orgasm noise.
Yes,
those are the options that are presented to me.
Now, I will give you one hint: the rationale is much more important than the choice.
Okay, all right. So I got to think this out.
This is a puzzle.
I'm not going to give you the orgasm noise. There's some things just got to be kept to yourself, I think, especially with my mom.
Exactly. We cannot scandalize your mother.
There's just something that got to be kept to yourself.
This is in the name of your mother's honor right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will say this because we just mentioned him, and it's because I love him, that if I had to kill someone, it would be our friend Tom, right? It would be our friend Tom because he's a good person. And sometimes it's a mercy killing. Good people don't function well in this world, right? The world has no mercy for them. And sometimes it's do you remember the opening scene of Battlestar Galactica, the TV series, the new one, right? The most recent one, not one of the 70s, right? And where, or one of the early scenes where you had Cylon 6, just before the colonies are destroyed by nukes, she's walking and checking out human beings for the first time. And she sees a little baby and she holds the baby and then she breaks its neck because she doesn't want it to experience the horror of the nuclear fallout that's about to happen, right? And that's a horrific way to start a series where this woman just kills a baby. If you can think of how they pitched that and got that through,
I don't know.
That's Tom, because Tom has a clean heart. He hides it behind a very stubborn, ornery facade. But if he came to LA, and I don't know if he's ever been to LA. I don't think he's in LA, but if he ever came to LA, I think this town would hurt him because he's got a clean heart and he's a sensitive person. And so I would save him that through a mercy killing.
Just mercy kill Tom. I like it. Then he would finally get some sleep too. So
watch my invite for tomorrow morning get pulled, which I'll find out when I wake up and I'm like groggy walking and they're like, well, we're not doing the show. I'm like, well, I just want to go back to bed.
Well, you want me dead, so fuck you. Well, I have to support this answer because I'm actually currently in a rivalry with Tom.
Okay.
On Twitter, we're head to head with 2 days left for the next Stealing Solo Magnet to be produced.
Oh wow!
There's a poll going right now. And it's me, Tom, and Mahler in the poll. And Mahler had the early lead, but I'm creeping up on it. But I can't rule out Tom. He's a wild card.
Yeah,
so,
he's got the glasses of power. So yeah,
that's right. So until
his glasses are powerful.
Until this poll is closed, I have to support any and all attempts on Tom's life. I'm sorry, Tom. I hope you understand.
Well, if I was on Twitter, I might be up for something. I'm always a guest star on these damn shows, but nobody puts me in the cool club stuff, like making like little things about me. I'm never in that cool club. It's just like high school.
In the media,
I'm outside talking about these things. Well, you guys have this little thing where you drive off together,
Bro.
Jerry and Anna and whatever have adventures. Well, I talk to you on video screens. I know I'm excluded.
Whatever. Do you know how many of those like early when people used to make those like Photoshop Phantom Menace images and shit, like early days when there's like not a whole lot of us and I'm like one of the original members, how much shit I got left off of? I'm like, bitch, please, I'm right here. And that was before YouTube killed my channel. So no excuses.
It's okay. It's okay.
You know what? You are now, upon having correctly and successfully answered all 3 questions and performed the initiation ritual, you are now a member of the Mindless Mob. Welcome to my island of misfit toys, where you will never feel left off the boat again. Because
until the next initiate says, "Well, Kamran Pasha is the guy I would kill." Right?
Well, I mean, look, we have to hear the rationale. That could be a wrong answer. We got to say, that could totally be a wrong answer for them, and they could just be fucked. But
can you get Minka Kelly on this broadcast? Can you find a way to her so that I can see if I can fix it?
I have a lot of connections.
Okay.
I will work on that. I will see if I know somebody who knows somebody. Jillian N says, when Cameron mentioned Machiavelli's The Prince, I saw those 8-bit sunglasses appear on his face. Forget Minka Kelly, her loss, turn on the romance. The right lady is out there.
I'll take that from the lovely Jillian. And my thing is I just tend to chase famous people because I'm a star fucker. And it's just who I am. It is. Why did I come to LA? Whatever.
Dude, exactly. It is what it is.
At least I'm honest about it. I'm like everybody else. So yeah.
I think the most famous person I banged was a member of a group called Brother, who was like a black boy band from the 90s that were not successful, but then have since gone on to become a very successful cover band that literally the most, like, they played the Grammys cover band, or not the Emmys cover band, like Emmy reception. They that's where I met this guy the first time.
You met a brother from Brother. Okay,
a brother from Brother, and I
had sex with more famous people than I've had. Okay, that's good.
I was working behind a table where you couldn't see me from the waist down, and he still saw my butt from behind the table, and that's why he liked me. So we, it was.
Well,
but and actually, I mean,
know about your personal experience there.
Technically, the most famous person I've ever slept with is Jeff. He just isn't.
Nice try. I heard you trying to cover.
Yeah.
Wait. You guys have slept together? Okay.
Just a couple times.
Okay.
Don't tell our parents.
Is that what people do? Because people aren't getting laid in 2021. That's what people aren't
getting.
What
we did last year. What do you think we did living alone together with nowhere to go?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It's okay. It's okay.
Is what's up. No, I was so I appreciate. I actually know some crazy things though. Like no romantic entanglements whatsoever. But Isaac C. Singleton Jr. He likes his full name. Who was one of the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean, and he does the voice for Thanos and all the animated stuff and whatnot. He lives around the fucking corner from me, which I found out because he gave me. It was a whole crazy where like. It just had this, by the way, endorsement for Doug Jones, the actor, coolest fucking guy. I don't know if you've ever come across him in your leanings and whatnot, but for that, anyone out there who's like, I wonder how weird character actor Doug Jones is in real life. Super fucking cool because he showed up at the premiere for this short film that he had been in like 5 years previously. And this was weeks before Lady in the Water dropped. So he's at this fucking, and I ended up going as a +1 with my friend who had been a PA on this thing 5 years ago, when she had first moved to LA at that point, and Doug Jones shows up for it, and is doing his rounds and is so cute being like, go see my movie, A Lady in the Water. It's like no one's going to fucking see it. Like, all right, Doug, come on. But he's trying to be polite to everybody. Yeah. And Isaac was there as his +1. And they worked together on some stuff and they were friends and went, hey, you want to come to movie premiere? Sure. Isaac loves to go to events and stuff. And so my friend and I are having our moment to meet Doug Jones. And we're all like, oh my God, I love your work. You fucking terrify me as the fucking hand eyeball face guy from Pan's Labyrinth. But, and he goes, oh yeah, but he's trying to, move on to the next people and all that. So he goes, have you met my friend Isaac? Just dumps us off on Isaac.
Oh, okay.
Who my friend immediately recognizes because she had a good eye for faces and all that stuff. And ends up, we were like getting ready to head home. We realized we're in the same neighborhood and we had taken the subway or the Lyft or something like that, offered us a ride, and we ended up becoming friends. My favorite thing ever too in that process was we would message on Facebook every here and again at first.
Yeah. Okay.
And but he's old fashioned, he's a caller and all that. So it was like 2 a.m. once, and I guess he saw that I was online, and he was like, "Oh, are you awake right now?" And I was like, "Yes," because he like texts in his fucking deep, weird voice. So I saved a screenshot of this because he said, "Would you be available, comma, for a phone call, comma, with me, comma, now?" Yes, sure, please. This is hilarious. It's weird though, because Jeff and I became having this experience. Like the flip side for all the bullshit coming out here, and you can speak to this too, I'm sure or not, is that you really start to realize that you can become any of those things, all these lofty, attainable types of people that we think are living these glass bubbles that you can never see and hold and touch. It's like, as I've been out, like I make friends where I'm like, they're just people to me. They're just somebody I know. And then all of a sudden you realize one day you Google them and realize they have this fucking Wikipedia page as long as your leg, and you had no clue because they're just a human fucking being. And they're not their past and the shows they were in or the things they produced. And it really brings it home to you. You're like, if every fucking person is dealing with the same shit, then what's stopping me from creating these things that all these people are creating?
Sure. Yeah, once you realize famous people have to take a dump just like you do, and they're having bad days and they're scared that they're going to fail, and when okay, well, I'm having all those things, so I guess I can do it too. Yeah.
And that one other thing I'll say in favor of LA is the collaborative element that's come out here. I actually read a really cool article some years ago, around the time I came out, that talked about the creative diaspora and the exodus from New York City because it had priced out all the young creatives, and how they had come to LA because, as retarded as our real estate can be, there are pockets that's so sprawling. There are still neighborhoods that are affordable. And so all the people were coming out here and turning North Hollywood into the new small theater mecca, and all of a sudden the Hollywood Fringe Festival became less of a joke. And all this stuff started happening, with that same creative collaborative energy that people used to chase in New York City. And you find that's one thing I do love about being here, is once you needle into the industry, but because as the industry gets more and more insular, it creates more and more opportunities for people who don't want to be a part of that, who now will make connections.
Or who are being left out. I mean, I've witnessed in the course of my career, the club getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And each time, every time I'm about to enter the club, and then you're like, all right, well, screw you. I'm just going to go hang out with these people, right?
Exactly.
Not letting me in the club, so forget it. I'm just going to.
And eventually you exclude enough people from the club, the people outside of the club become more powerful, smarter, talented, et cetera, more connected and all that. And it's not going to be long till we're the ones taking the fuck over. So.
And then maybe Minka and I got another shot. Maybe well, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I'm a very obsessive guy, so I'm like, I screwed that up. I got to fix that. Whatever.
Exactly. You and Anna need to compare notes, and if she figures out Henry Cavill first, or you figure out Minka first, you guys got to just swap notes.
How is her dude okay with this public Henry Cavill my vagina is bursting stuff? Right. I mean, it ain't exactly subtle. It's literally I gushed all over my panties for Henry Cavill is the video for the day. I'm like,
I think there's a reason that she works out in her office is very remote from the rest of the house.
All right, so it's okay. So she has no idea that the extent of her passion.
He probably is somewhat in the dark as to the extent.
God.
Either that, or she has firmly. What it may be is that she's just pulling the smoke and mirrors and the feminine wow. So every time he wants to be like, babes, it's just a thing for YouTube. It's not real. It's not serious. Come take a closer look. And then he forgets why he was mad. So
yeah, well, we men are suckers. It's that's why I write primarily female characters, because men are very simplistic, women are very complex, and they're much more interesting characters.
I had an ex had a picture he was very proud of in his home that was two switchboards, and one was female, and it was 1,000 dials and knobs and wires connecting and crisscrossing and all this shit, and it was male, and it was just on off.
Yeah. I mean, we have only two emotions, and I think Jeff, we have emotions. The emotions are we're either really angry or we're just fine. That's it. And those are two emotions, right?
Yep.
Whatever. Or we're really angry, and it's like the same thing with sex. It's like we're either turned on or we're not. There's no women have layers of I'm sort of attracted. I'm like we're either really turned on or we're not turned on, and most is just really turned on. I mean that just flips. That switch just goes.
I'm well aware.
I'm well aware. There's no heating up process. right?
Fortunately, we're compatible in that way.
God bless you. God bless you. And on that note, I actually got to start winding up because I got to wake up early for Tom, who's making me wake up to actually get up at a 9 a.m., which I would never do except for these guys.
I hear you.
Andre, who's sitting there, Mr. Rich Banker in Norway, who I love.
Well, this is going to have to be a to be continued because obviously we have 1,000,001 more things to talk about together. So I would love to have you back anytime you're free. You know,
we're connected now on Facebook. Just drop me a note. I'm happy to come on. And when you feel ready, and let's all hang out in LA. Let's meet at the Earth Cafe.
Yeah,
you guys
that'll be so fun. But yeah, no, I'm gonna we'll say a loving and dear. I gotta find like a good outro video or something to play. A loving and dear good night. Thank you so much for being here. It couldn't have been more fun. A better way to spend my stream. I appreciate you. I appreciate the Mindless Mob. We got those impressions. Well over 100 likes. Thank you so much.
That's really nice.
You guys are the best. We're doing a bonus Live It stream. It'll be Irish coffee in the morning for St. Patty's, and then Anna and I are celebrating on the matriarchy, and then Jeff's celebrating with the bullshitters. So if I'm lucky, I'll score an invite in the background on that. And so tomorrow we're celebrating St. Patty's. It's going to be a fun fucking time.
That's great. Have fun. Wear some green. Don't do anything my mom doesn't need to know about, which actually prevents you from doing a lot of things. So.
Which is everything. So
pretty much, it's quite. She's been with me during the entire lockdown and thing. Which has been great. I've been taking care of her, and I've getting good home cooked meals. And she's kept me sane. But there ain't much dating going on in that situation.
These things happen. That was actually
going on anyway right now in LA. So.
These are the things. Shout out to our buddy Will in recovery right now because he was living with his mom for a long time during that. So one of the things he gets to look forward to is, getting out into a post-pandemic world and having a place to take.
Yeah, I got my first ticket. I bought my ticket for April. I'm taking a few days to Daytona to party.
Nice.
I've never been to Daytona. I want to go check it out.
Awesome. Good shit. So in finishing thoughts, back stealing solo. You guys are going to see Kamran a ton, so you don't have to worry about even saying goodbye because we'll just be back. Almost Tactical, thank you so much. Much love. And with that, GodEmpress,